Chapter 23-29. How is this possible? How is this possible? It's impossible. Looking at the head of their king, the Rakshasa powerhouses who were in a daze finally couldn't help but yell. The group of powerhouses charged toward Lin Tian in a frenzy. Boom! The power of order and the killing light of the path immediately spread out, almost completely suppressing the world around them. In the blink of an eye, the group of people charged toward Lin Tian. The surging power of order and the killing light of the path were annihilated one after another. All the Rakshasa powerhouses who rushed within 3 feet of Lin Tian trembled, including the Grand Supreme Elders of the Path Fusion Realm. They were immediately disintegrated by the reincarnation aura surrounding Lin Tian's body. Lin Tian didn't care about these people at all. He closed his rinnegan and looked at the head of the Rakshasa king in front of him. His hands were full of blood, dripping down drop by drop. It was the blood that came from attacking the Rakshasa king in a frenzy just now. The violence and madness in his eyes subsided at this moment. He picked up the remaining head of the Rakshasa king and turned to walk out of the dilapidated Rakshasa royal city. He ignored the Rakshasa powerhouses who kept attacking him, allowing them to be crushed by the reincarnation aura within 3 feet of him. In the blink of an eye, he stepped out of the Rakshasa royal city and the Rakshasa world. Stepping out of the Rakshasa great world, he walked into the distance. Dense sacred runes of order appeared around his body. Boom! Majestic sacred aura surged. In these 7 days of fierce battle, the Rakshasa king had mobilized all the power of order, the power of the path, the power of the world's origin, and so on that fell on him. At this moment, he used the power of order. All the power in 7 days and 7 nights merged together and doubled in strength, turning into a killing sword that slashed toward the Rakshasa great world behind him. Absolute counterattack. In these 7 days, all the killing power that fell on him doubled in strength and turned into a killing sword. This was the sword of destruction. In the next moment, the sword of destruction firmly struck the Rakshasa great world. The world barrier of the magnificent and huge Rakshasa world completely collapsed. Then cracks spread rapidly and finally it exploded. In this empty world, behind it, there was a huge destructive firework. The roots of the Rakshasa race had completely disappeared. Carrying the Rakshasa king's head, his expression did not change at all. He looked a little numb as he walked away step by step. Not long after, he stepped into the grand mist universe and returned to the 10 directions heavenly domain. He returned to the small spiritual domain. The center of spirit realm was filled with ruins. They had been here for a very, very long time. Arriving at this place, he placed the Rakshasa king's head in front of the ruins. He knelt down in front of the ruins, lost in thought. In the blink of an eye, he knelt here. 3 days passed. 3 days later, he stood up, paused for a moment, and looked toward the southern region of the 9th heaven. After taking one last look at the ruins in front of him, he turned around and left this spiritual realm. Soon after, he arrived at the immortal spirit mountain valley in the southern region of the 9th heaven. He appeared in front of a large red stone. The large rock was very rough, and it was covered with a lot of dust. There was some grass around it, and it looked very ordinary. When he came here, he looked at the sky, paused for a moment, and then disappeared. The next moment, he appeared in a small world. Inside the small world, there were intertwining lights, and the immortal spirit light was everywhere. It gave people a feeling of harmony and harmony. It was the heavenly secret dojo of the divination sect. This dojo was left behind by the ancestor of the divination sect. Originally, only the immortal spirit body could open the door and enter this place by relying on special immortal spirit runes. However, with his current cultivation, he was no longer restricted by these restrictions. He stepped into this world. His steps were slow and steady. Not long after, he stepped into a celestial spirit white tower in this world. The space inside the tower was very wide, and there were wisps of immortal spirit light lingering around it. There were no layers, and the top was a scene of silver mixed with black light. There were illusory stars twinkling, and there were very rich Tao lights intertwining. The light of reincarnation spread out from his body, and soon spread throughout the entire White Tower. Gradually, an illusory figure appeared, and gradually turned into a woman. Her beauty was peerless. Most importantly, the woman's temperament was extraordinary. As she manifested, the surroundings were naturally surrounded by celestial light. She was the founder of the divination sect, the progenitor of the divination sect. Shui, looking at the woman, Lin Tian said. The progenitor of the divination sect trembled. At this moment, he wasn't surprised that he had appeared again, nor was he surprised to see Lin Tian again. He was only moved by the two words Lin Tian said. Do you remember everything? Looking at Lin Tian, the progenitor of the divination sect, this beautiful woman's eyes rippled with excitement, and her illusory body couldn't help but tremble. Lin Tian's lips moved. It really is you. In the past, before he reincarnated, he met an 11-year-old girl. She was an ordinary person, and her clothes were tattered. Because of the war between empires in the mortal world, she was alone. In a forest, she was pounced on by a fierce wolf. He happened to see her at that time and saved her. At that time, he was walking on the path of hatred and couldn't bring the little girl by his side. He also saw that she had the immortal spirit king body, so he taught her a set of ancient cultivation scriptures and personally led her in cultivation for half a month before leaving. The girl's name was Shu He. After reincarnating, he had regained his memories. Many things flashed through his mind again and again. He remembered the Tianji dojo he had entered before he regained his memories. He remembered the chi of the Tianji dojo he had seen before. It was exactly the same as the girl from before. So, at this time, he came to this place. He finally understood why this woman had bowed to him before he regained his memories. You've deduced everything? He looked at Shu He. After reincarnating, before his soul, which had turned into a sword soul, completely merged into his body, it was impossible for ordinary people to see his true identity. Even his 9 senior brothers couldn't detect it. But Shui obviously knew who he was at that time. It wasn't because she saw it, but because she knew him from the beginning. It was the result of her calculation. Benefactor, please forgive me, Shui said. Back then, Benefactor's gaze. Shui cared a lot. War between mortal empires could erupt at any moment. And in those wars, the ones who suffered the most were undoubtedly the common people. Her family had perished in the flames of war when she was very young, leaving her all alone. She had been fleeing for years, unable to eat her fill or wear warm clothes. One day, when she was pounced on by a ferocious wolf, she felt that she was going to die. She was going to be free. Soon, she would leave this war-torn world, leave this world where she could neither eat her fill nor wear warm clothes, and reunite with her parents. However, she didn't die. Lin Tian appeared at that time, saved her, and took her with him for half a month. During that time, he let her eat every day, bought her new clothes, taught her immortal-like spells, and personally led her in cultivation. She fled alone for several years, and her parents were long gone. During those years, she didn't know what a good life was at all. She was hungry and cold every day. During the half a month when Lin Tian appeared, she felt warmth that she hadn't felt for a long time, and understood what a good life felt like. During that half a month, she felt that Lin Tian was an angel sent to her by the heavens. He was too good to her. Apart from her parents, no one else had ever been so good to her. During that half a month, she followed Lin Tian every day. She was incomparably happy. However, during this process, she also noticed that Lin Tian, who had been very good to her, would be in a daze from time to time. Hatred, madness, and pain would appear in his eyes from time to time. These expressions were deeply imprinted in her mind. After that, half a month passed. When she had a certain amount of self-control, Lin Tian silently left. She began to cultivate by herself, and gradually became stronger. Her immortal spirit body reached large success, and many years later, she created the divination of the heavens. She couldn't help but begin to calculate Lin Tian's whereabouts. She wanted to see Lin Tian again, and at the same time, she couldn't help but calculate Lin Tian's past. This was because she cared too much about the hatred, madness, and pain in Lin Tian's eyes. She couldn't forget it. She wanted to know what the person who saved her, who was so good to her, had experienced. Why did he have such hatred, madness, and pain in his eyes? Thus, with her large success, immortal spirit body, and the divination of the heavens, she saw blurry images and understood everything about Lin Tian's past. She even calculated that Lin Tian would be reincarnated in the future, and what would happen after that. It was also because of that calculation that involved reincarnation that even though she had the immortal spirit body, which was known as the darling of all Daos, and her immortal spirit body had reached large success, she still suffered a devastating blow. Although her body and soul weren't directly destroyed at that time, she wasn't far from death. Then, on that day, in a limited time, she created the divination of the heavens, took in a group of disciples, and passed down the divination of the heavens. Then, she smelted her own physical body and used her skull and a small part of her origin to refine the divine mirror of heavens. She used other immortal spirit origins to fuse with all Daos to create the divine mirror of heavens. She placed the divine mirror of heavens in it, and waited for future disciples with immortal spirit bodies to come and obtain the divine mirror of heavens. She used this divine realm and the divination of the heavens to help Lin Tian after reincarnation. The Heaven's Secret Dojo was condensed from Shu He's immortal spirit origins fused with all Daos. It is constantly absorbing the Tao power between heaven and earth. It can help you. Ever since you left, Shu He has always missed you. She has always wanted to see you. She has always wanted to find you. She has always wanted to call you master. Back then, it was Lin Tian who saved her. It was Lin Tian who taught her cultivation and led her on the path of cultivation. In her heart, Lin Tian was not only her savior, but also her teacher who taught her the Tao. Her figure began to dissipate like before, completely disappearing. She faced Lin Tian and bowed to Lin Tian as a disciple. Master, I wish you vengeance in this life. Once she finished speaking, her figure disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the White Tower and the Heaven's Secret Dojo trembled. Everything in this small world began to shine brightly and turned into pure Tao light. It was like an ocean of Tao that swept madly towards Lin Tian and endlessly surged into his body. This Tao light was formed after Shu He's immortal spirit origins fused with all Daos. Over the years, it had absorbed the power of all Daos in this place. As it surged into his body, everything Shu He had experienced and everything she had divined about him appeared in his mind, causing his body to tremble violently. Chapter 2330. Recalling the past. He only sensed that the Tianji primogenitor he had met before was the Shu He from back then. She was the first girl he personally taught in cultivation, so he was more or less concerned about her. As a result, he came to this place again and used the light of reincarnation to manifest the other party's remnant once again. He wanted to know why the other party gave up her life back then, using her own skull and a small portion of her immortal essence to forge the Tianji divine mirror. However, he never thought that the reason was actually like this. Back then, because Shu He wanted to see him and find him, he used the divine divination of heavenly secrets that he had painstakingly created to calculate his whereabouts. Because he cared about the hatred, madness, and pain in Shu He's eyes, he used the divine divination of heavenly secrets to calculate what he had experienced in the past. However, it involved reincarnation, and because of that, he suffered the disaster of destruction. His body trembled. He couldn't help but roar. He was angry for the hatred, madness, and pain in his eyes when he brought the girl to cultivate. If he didn't reveal that kind of expression back then, Shui wouldn't have calculated what he had experienced in the past, and wouldn't have come into contact with reincarnation. She wouldn't have suffered the calamity of destruction because of her calculations. For him, she used her own skull and a small portion of her immortal essence to forge the Tianji divine mirror, all for the sake of waiting for the future disciples with immortal spirit bodies to obtain the Tianji divine mirror. Then, she would use the Tianji divination and Tianji divine mirror to assist him after reincarnation. For him, she used a large portion of her essence to create the Tianji dojo, causing the Tianji dojo to continuously gather the Tao energy of heaven and earth here. She gathered the endless Tao energy here for him after reincarnation, all for the sake of increasing his strength. For him, she left her remnant will here. Even though she was very excited when she saw him after reincarnation, she still forcefully suppressed that excitement, all for the sake of not disrupting his normal path after reincarnation. She silently waited for him to control reincarnation before coming here again. Back then, she wanted to use all of this to avenge him as much as possible. Everything she did for him made his heart ache, as if 10,000 swords were ruthlessly stabbing him. The Tianji dojo turned into 10,000 streaks of Tao radiance and unceasingly entered his body. He clenched his fists, his fingernails deeply digging into the flesh of his palms. His hatred towards Luanhui Wang and the others became even stronger. If it wasn't for those people, this wouldn't have happened. Buzz! The Tianji Dao field was boiling. Everything inside was shining brightly, completely condensed from Dao light. At this moment, all the Dao light was flowing into Lin Tian's body in an endless stream. It was so pure that Lin Tian didn't even need to refine it. It directly fused into every corner of his body, causing his essence, qi, and soul to grow unceasingly. At the same time, his cultivation was also increasing rapidly. Outside the primordial universe, in a majestic great world, the Yellow Springs Great World. What? At that moment, in the Yellow Springs Great World, within the Yellow Springs Royal City, the upper echelons of this lineage were all moved. Not long ago, they received news that the Luosha race's great world had destroyed. This shocked the entire clan. The Rakshasa clan was an ancient clan that was on the same level as their clan. The Rakshasa king was at the middle level of the Luosha realm, overseeing the Rakshasa world. There were also other experts in the clan, but now, this clan that was on the same level as their Yellow Spring clan was actually destroyed. The world where the clan was established had completely disappeared. How is this possible? Even if the old demon of the immortal spirit royal family made a breakthrough, it is impossible for him to do this. Who is it? Could it be the human king? On this day, the upper echelons of this bloodline were filled with shock and horror. The Rakshasa race was actually destroyed, and the entire world where the race was founded had disappeared. In their knowledge, outside of the heavenly court, only the human kings could do such a thing. At the same time, the upper echelons of the Nine Nether lineage and the Underworld lineage also discovered this. Like the Yellow Spring lineage, these two great clans were also shocked. For a moment, the kings of these two great clans left the great world of their clans and soon appeared at the place where the Rakshasa world used to be. The Yellow Spring King also appeared at the same time. The three ancient existences at the Luosha realm stood in the empty space and looked ahead. There used to be a majestic macro world there, the Luosha macro world. But now, there was no trace of the Luosha macro world. There was only dust and debris as far as the eye could see. Reincarnation aura. A cold voice suddenly sounded. 4 figures appeared at this place, and their spirits were much stronger than the Yellow Spring King, the Nine Nether King, and the Underworld King. Seeing these 4 people, the ancestor of the Yellow Spring clan, the Nine Nether King of the Nine Nether clan, and the Underworld King of the Underworld lineage all bowed. The 3 of them naturally recognized these 4 people. They were 4 of the 9 divine guards of the Reincarnation King, named Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai. All of them were at the true realm. This aura doesn't belong to the human king. The human king doesn't have the reincarnation aura, so it is even more impossible for that lord to come here and destroy the Rakshasa clan. Could it be? The Yellow Spring King's eyes narrowed, and he was in disbelief. Is it that reincarnated body? Has he already mastered reincarnation? Other than him, there can't be anyone else, Xianyin said, and his eyes were cold. It's that insect from back then. At the end of the Xianhuang Great Destruction, the Reincarnation King appeared and saw Lin Tian from far away. Because he had the reincarnation aura, he saw through Lin Tian's identity at a glance. Xianyin, Xianyang, and the rest of the 7 divine guards who followed the Reincarnation King naturally knew about this. They learned from the Reincarnation King that Lin Tian was the only survivor of that small tribe back then. What? Hearing Xian Yin's words, the Yellow Spring King's expression changed. The Nine Nether King and the Underworld King's expressions changed at the same time. They naturally knew who the insect from back then that Xian Yin mentioned was. The Human King's youngest disciple. The reincarnated body is him? The Underworld King's eyes narrowed. Not long ago, Xian Yin and the others told the 4 ancient clans to suppress the reincarnated body Lin Tian, but they didn't reveal the true identity of Lin Tian. The 3 of them didn't know until now, and they couldn't help but feel shocked. The human from back then had already reached such a height. I heard that the reincarnated body had the Eye of Destiny, and I suspected that it might be the insect from back then. Back then, that insect also obtained the power of destiny after racking his brains. The 9 Serenities King said in a deep voice, "I didn't expect it to be him." The 9 Serenities King frowned, as did the Netherworld King and the Underworld King. Lin Tian, the only survivor of that small tribe, had once wanted to take revenge on them. However, they didn't care about Lin Tian back then because Lin Tian was too weak and wasn't on the same level as them. The difference was too great. At that time, the only thing that made them fear was that Lin Tian had become the disciple of the Human King. If it weren't for the Human King, Lin Tian would have been obliterated by them, and he wouldn't have survived until now. In the past, they didn't care about Lin Tian at all, and were only afraid of the Human King behind Lin Tian. But now, seeing the destroyed Luosha macro world, they felt a chill run down their spines. The weak human in their eyes back then had controlled samsara after being tainted by it, and now he had reached such a height? He had killed the Luosha King and destroyed the entire Luosha macro world. Even if it were the 3 of them, it was absolutely impossible for them to do such a thing. In other words, Lin Tian's current battle strength had already surpassed the 3 of them. Xian Lai said coldly, "He only wants revenge. That insect will find one of the 3 of you in the future." It seems that after controlling samsara, the 3 of you will no longer be able to deal with him alone. The Samsara Divine Guard of the True Realm said, "Prepare the teleportation formation in each of your clan's worlds. Once he appears in any of your worlds, inform the other 2 immediately. The other 2 will rush over immediately." The guard continued, "Xian Tian, Xian Di, and Xian Ye are guarding that lord in the Xianwang universe. They can't move for the time being, but the 4 of us can. When the time comes, we will appear together. This time, if he dares to come, he won't be able to escape. Primordial universe, 10 directions, celestial domain." In the heavenly secret dojo, Tao light surged like stormy waves, but it was incomparably gentle and pure, constantly pouring into Lin Tian's body. Standing in the White Tower, Lin Tian clenched his fists in anger, hatred, and heartache. However, he couldn't do anything. Back then, the first girl he personally taught cultivation, the girl named Shu He, had completely disappeared. What he manifested with the light of samsara was only Shu He's obsession. It couldn't even be considered a spiritual consciousness, so there was no possibility of her resurrection. She died because of him. She created the heavenly secret realm for him. She created the heavenly secret dojo for him. Now, the extremely pure Tao light of heaven and earth continuously poured into his body. He could clearly feel his essence, qi, and spirit constantly strengthening, and his cultivation constantly improving. However, what he felt more clearly was pain, the kind of pain that went deep into his soul. Tao light surged, and the heavenly secret dojo was cracking. The cracked parts, the sky, the rivers, the plants, and even the soil were no exception, were all condensed and manifested by the Tao light. Now, everything had turned into primitive Tao light again, all of it rushing into Lin Tian's body, causing his essence, qi, spirit, and cultivation to rise even faster. Soon, he reached the peak of the Tao fusion realm, and this was far from over. Endless Tao light surrounded and continued to pour into Lin Tian's body. There was no need to refine it at all. It naturally integrated into every inch of his flesh, blood, bones, and spirit, causing his essence, qi, spirit, and cultivation to continue to rise. In the blink of an eye, a total of 9 days had passed. 3 days later, 90% of the heavenly secret dojo had disappeared. Lin Tian's figure appeared in the immortal spirit valley outside the heavenly secret dojo. At this moment, the aura outside his body had undergone another transformation, forcefully reaching the rebirth realm from the peak of the Tao fusion realm. Immediately, there was a thump, and in the sky above, there was a thunderous explosion. Chapter 23:31. Thunder rumbled, shaking the 9 heavens. A huge lightning vortex appeared above Lin Tian's head. Black lightning interweaved wantonly, as if it wanted to destroy everything. The aura of destruction shrouded Lin Tian completely. Such an aura spread throughout the entire 10 Directions heaven domain. Countless living beings in the vast 10 Directions heaven domain trembled in fear at this moment, intimidated by the surging lightning might. Boom! Another ear-piercing thunder exploded. In the dim sky, in the dark clouds, the first round of heavenly punishment fell. This was an incomparably vast sea of lightning, completely condensed from lightning. As soon as it appeared, it suppressed everything in the 10 heavens. The terrifying thunder arrived above Lin Tian's head in the blink of an eye. Get lost! Lin Tian was filled with anger and heartache. This feeling had never dissipated as the light of the heavenly mystery dojo continued to pour into his body. At this moment, the Rinnegan naturally appeared. With a roar, the first round of heavenly punishment collapsed on the spot. At the same time, in the sky, the dark lightning vortex shook violently, then shattered into pieces and collapsed in a blink of an eye. The vast 9th heaven became bright again. In the sky, 7-colored auspicious clouds emerged, and the pure power of heaven and earth fell, shrouding him in it. This pure power of heaven and earth poured into his body, along with the tens of thousands of Tao lights of the Tianji Dojo, causing his aura to continue to rise. His flesh, blood, bones, and divine soul became stronger and stronger. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. 3 days later, the Tianji Dojo completely disappeared. Everything turned into the purest Tao light that poured into Lin Tian's body, causing Lin Tian's cultivation to stop at the early stage of reincarnation realm. Standing in the immortal valley, in the valley, wisps of white mist floated. Lin Tian stood in the valley for a long time without moving. In the blink of an eye, he stood there for another 3 days. Another 3 days later, on this day, his tightly clenched fists loosened. He took one last look at the immortal valley and left with loneliness. Not long after, he stepped into the headquarters of the immortal court. The immortal court was empty. Everyone had gone to battle. Wu Yi, Bai Qiu, Ji Yu, Su Shu, Shui Yi, Ruoxin, Violet Fairy, Yin Yu and the others had all gone to battle. Even the old divine mathematician had rushed out of the 10 heavens. Not long after, he stepped into the immortal court's immortal emperor pagoda. That was a place that only he could enter. He sat down cross-legged in the pagoda and gradually closed his eyes. It had been less than a month, but to him, it felt like countless years had passed. Outside his body, strands of 9-colored holy light appeared naturally. It was powerful and thick, as if it encompassed everything. Outside the 10 heavens ancient star, every corner of the primordial universe was filled with endless battles. The overall battle strength of the heavenly court was extremely strong, and there were as many experts as there were clouds in the sky. Even though the Hongming universe had experts like Wu Yi and the primogenitor of the immortal spirit race, who were many times stronger than the heavenly court's strongest experts in the Hongming universe, the heavenly court still had the absolute upper hand in the battle. After all, although Wu Yi and the primordial immortal ancestor were terrifying, the old hoodlum, the martial ancestor, the old Taoist, and Fengshen Tianzun were all extraordinary. They couldn't take care of the entire primordial universe. Apart from these extreme experts, the primordial universe couldn't compare to the celestial court at all. In a large-scale battle, the primordial universe's side was at an absolute disadvantage. If we can help, in the simple valley, on the peak of a short mountain, Qing Xian and an old drunkard stood together, looking at the primordial universe. An old drunkard's eyes were calm, but deep. Little one and little two are fighting. It's like we're fighting, an old drunkard said, looking at the 10 heavens ancient star from afar. I want to see this battle to the end. Qing Xian nodded and looked at the 10 heavens ancient star with pity in her eyes. At the same time, there was a faint glimmer in her eyes. Eternal Celestial Emperor. I didn't expect little 10 to be that person's son, she said softly. She paused and looked at an old drunkard. Speaking of which, in the 9th dimension, one of you is the king and the other is the emperor. I wonder what the outcome of the battle will be. She looked at an old drunkard curiously. An old drunkard's eyes were calm, as if he had seen through everything in the world. I can't win against him, and he can't win against me. Qing Xian chuckled, then sighed. Those people shouldn't have opened that door. That is a holy land, but also a land of calamity. What will happen in the end? There was a hint of heaviness in her eyes. An old drunkard's gentle eyes became a little deep. His gaze was still on the 10 heavens ancient star, and it gradually became deeper. 10 heavens ancient star, immortal court, inside the immortal emperor pagoda, holy light intertwined. Lin Tian sat cross-legged in the immortal emperor pagoda, surrounded by 9-colored holy light and the light of reincarnation. As time passed, after a few days, the reincarnation aura outside his body was concealed, and it turned into the fluctuation of fate energy. His essence, qi, and spirit gradually became more stable. His cultivation base and Tao foundation became more stable. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. 1 month later, on this day, the holy light outside his body was concealed, and he opened his eyes. After a month of seclusion in the immortal Emperor Pagoda, his cultivation base had completely stabilized at the early stage reincarnation transformation realm. He was even stronger than when he went through the tribulation. It was also on this day that he stood up from the immortal Emperor Pagoda and walked alone in the immortal court. Then he stepped out of the 10 heavens ancient star, stepped out of the primordial universe, and walked in the vast world. 7 days later, an extremely grand and vast macro world appeared in front of him. It was as grand as the Luosha macro world. It was the macro world where the Yellow Spring clan established their clan. His footsteps did not stop, and he walked straight ahead. Soon, he arrived in front of the Yellow Spring macro world. "Who is it?" A cold voice rang out. There were naturally experts guarding the outside of the Yellow Springs great world. At this moment, seeing that there were foreign races approaching, the experts guarding the outside of the Yellow Springs great world all walked out. They were at the Heavenly Ascension stage and the Void Transformation stage. Lin Tian's footsteps did not change, and he walked forward slowly. As he walked forward, the world seemed to tremble, and the experts of the Yellow Spring clan who rushed out disintegrated one by one. At the same time, dense Saint runes appeared outside the macro world, and a vast murderous aura filled the sky. However, the moment they appeared, they shattered into light spots and dissipated. They could not block the reincarnation aura that naturally intertwined around his body. He continued to move forward, and the world barrier automatically broke open a door. He stepped through and appeared in the Yellow Spring macro world. The Yellow Spring macro world was as vast and majestic as the Luosha macro world. After entering, he walked towards the center of the world. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the center of the world and appeared outside the Yellow Spring Royal City. The Yellow Spring Royal City was as majestic as the Luosha macro world, but at this moment, it seemed a little quiet. "You really dare to come?" A cold voice sounded, and a figure appeared in the Yellow Spring Royal City. It was the Yellow Spring King of the Yellow Spring clan. Looking at Lin Tian, the Yellow Spring King's eyes were cold, and strands of runes intertwined around him, forming 2 world portals. In the next moment, the 2 world portals trembled. The 9 Nether Clans Patriarch, the 9 Nether Clans Patriarch, the Underworld Clans Patriarch, the Underworld Clans Patriarch, the Underworld Clans Patriarch, the Underworld Clans Patriarch, each stepped out of one of the world portals. Their eyes were deep and cold, and they immediately fell on Lin Tian. At the same time, the Yellow Spring Clan's experts gathered outside the Yellow Spring Royal City and formed seals at the same time. In an instant, the entire Yellow Spring Royal City was covered by boundless killing runes and saint runes, emitting a monstrous murderous aura. The dense murderous aura immediately locked onto Lin Tian. The Yellow Spring King took a step forward and said coldly, "To be able to kill the Luosha King and destroy the Luosha macro world, you little bug from back then have become something. However, do you think we wouldn't know after killing the Luosha King and destroying the Luosha macro world? Do you think we wouldn't expect you to come after us next? Do you think we wouldn't have made any preparations? Don't be too." The Yellow Spring King's words suddenly stopped, and he immediately trembled. The black hair in front of Lin Tian's forehead danced. In his reincarnation, eye was already open. Strands of mysterious runes intertwined, and his eyes were filled with ruthlessness and hatred. "Arg!" The Yellow Spring King let out a shrill scream of horror. As his consciousness trembled, he saw his soul being pulled into a purgatory. Thousands of souls roared and pounced on him, tearing at his soul in a frenzy. The pain was unbearable. In the next moment, the scream disappeared, and the Yellow Spring King calmed down. The light of life in his eyes had completely disappeared. Kings! Outside the Yellow Spring Royal City, the Yellow Spring Clan experts who were controlling the killing formation and the Yellow Spring Macroworld origin saint runes were shocked. They clearly did not see anything just now. In their field of vision, nothing happened and Lin Tian did nothing. However, their king suddenly screamed, and the light of life in his eyes disappeared in the blink of an eye. Their king was dead. His flesh shell was still there, but his soul had disappeared, silently crushed. Damn it! The Yellow Spring Clan experts were extremely shocked and furious. Although they did not see Lin Tian do anything, they knew that their king's death was definitely Lin Tian's doing. In shock and anger, the Yellow Spring Clan experts immediately activated the Boundless Killing runes and the Yellow Spring Macroworld Origin Saint runes to the limit, and pressed down on Lin Tian with the power of the Boundless Killing runes and the Yellow Spring Macroworld Origin Saint runes. This was set up by the Yellow Spring King a few days ago, and it was under the joint control of the Yellow Spring tribe experts. The killing power it could release was extremely terrifying. They were waiting for Lin Tian to appear and target Lin Tian. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, boundless killing power surged. The Yellow Spring tribe experts joined forces to support the Boundless Killing formation and the Yellow Spring Macroworld Origin Saint runes. The power was so terrifying that it seemed to be able to annihilate everything. Lin Tian stepped forward toward the Yellow Spring King's corpse. Boundless black lightning surged out and shrouded the surrounding space. With a sizzling sound, all the killing power that pressed down collapsed. At the same time, the Yellow Spring tribe experts who were controlling the Boundless Killing formation and the Yellow Spring Macroworld Origin Saint runes were instantly smashed into pieces. Their bodies and souls were all destroyed. At this moment, Lin Tian walked to the Yellow Spring King's corpse, cut off his head, and put it away. He wanted to bring this head back to the 10 Directions Heaven territory and bring it to the ruins as a memorial to all the people who had passed away in the small tribe. Chapter 2332. Clang! As he slashed out with the reincarnation light sword, the glaring reincarnation sword radiance tore the space apart. The Ninth Underworld King and the Nether King trembled. They wanted to retreat, but the space around them had been completely frozen. They could not retreat at all. They could only watch as Lin Tian's Samsara lightsaber swept towards them. At this moment, a cold snort was heard. A glaring saint light fell and blocked the reincarnation sword radiance. 4 figures suddenly appeared. They were all in the true realm and had a terrifying aura around them. 9 Serenity's King and Underworld Heart King relaxed and bowed when they saw the 4 of them. Xian Yin, Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai were 4 of the 7 reincarnation divine guards, and they were all extremely powerful. He has already entered the reincarnation realm. We are no match for him, 9 Serenity's King said. The 9th Underworld King said. His expression was very ugly, and his eyes were filled with deep shock. Lin Tian's current combat strength made him an underworld heart king tremble. King Huang Quan, who was as powerful as them, was killed in an instant. They didn't even know what Lin Tian had done to the Nether King at that time. Since then, you have been affected by the reincarnation realm. You have improved very quickly. Among the 4 reincarnation divine guards, Xian Yin's eyes fell on Lin Tian. He said coldly, "You are from a lowly clan, but you dare to have the same power as that lord." The gazes of Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai also fell on Lin Tian. Their eyes were cold. Lin Tian looked at Xian Yin, Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai, who had suddenly appeared. The hatred and violence in his eyes became even more intense. Back then, when he destroyed a small tribe, everyone in the tribe died. Reincarnation King, 9 Reincarnation Divine Guards, King Huang Quan, Luosha King, 9 Serenities King, and Underworld Heart King. He would never forget them even if he died 1,000,000 times. Boom! At this moment, he went berserk. The light of reincarnation overflowed into the sky, directly tearing apart the cracks of reincarnation and the reincarnation heavenly river. Boom! Boom! The unparalleled reincarnation chi instantly enveloped Xian Yin and the others, causing the entire place to tremble. Xian Yin snorted coldly. Divine light surged, directly holding up a tower of radiance. It was completely condensed from divine chains of order. At the same time, Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai attacked together. Each of them supported a powerful saint technique and blasted it toward Lin Tian. The 4 of them were all origin-returning realm experts, and they were an entire realm higher than Lin Tian. At this moment, when they attacked together and used their origin-returning realm cultivation to activate their secret arts, their killing power was naturally terrifying to the extreme and seemed to be able to suppress everything. In the blink of an eye, their secret arts collided with Lin Tian's reincarnation crack and reincarnation heavenly river, erupting with destructive light that filled the sky. It caused the Huangquan imperial city to shatter in a single moment. It was unable to endure such a powerful clash of saint might. Terrifying cracks appeared in the sky as well. The 9 Underworlds King and the Nether King, the 2 mid-reincarnation transformation realm experts, could only watch from the side. They were completely unable to interfere in a clash of this level. Damn bug! The Nether King gritted his teeth. In the past, he was a worthless ant in their eyes, but now, he had completely surpassed them. Compared to the current Lin Tian, they seemed to be nothing. This feeling made them feel sullen, unwilling, and furious. Boom! The saint might collided. The secret arts of Xian Yin, Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai collided with Lin Tian's reincarnation crack and reincarnation heavenly river. The continuous collision between the 2 sides caused even more dazzling destructive light to appear. The surroundings were completely drowned by the destructive light produced by the collision. Anyone below the secret arts would instantly suffer. It was also at this moment that Lin Tian took a step forward. He walked in the surging destructive light, and all the destructive light passed through his body. It was as if his body was just a projection at this moment. It did not hurt him at all. Such a scene caused Xian Yin, Xian Yang, and the other 2 to be shocked. The great art that the 4 of them conjured together collided with the reincarnation crack and reincarnation heavenly river. The destructive power in the middle was extremely terrifying. However, Lin Tian was able to walk in it as if he was walking on flat ground. The terrifying destructive power did not hurt Lin Tian at all. It passed through Lin Tian's body as if he was passing through air. Lin Tian's footsteps did not change. In the instant that the 4 of them were shocked, he passed through the destructive holy light and appeared in front of Xian Yin, Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai. His eyes had changed. There were 9 black moons intertwining in his left and right eyes. It was mysterious and terrifying. The Eye of Destiny. His cultivation had reached the rebirth realm, and he had secluded himself in the immortal Emperor's pagoda for a month. He had comprehended the Eye of Destiny more thoroughly. With this pair of eyes, he could turn himself into nothingness. As long as it was not a power that could kill him instantly, he could pass through it as if he was walking on flat ground. In other words, he could make the destructive power pass through his body as if it was nothing. The Eye of Destiny controlled the fate of heaven and earth. The fate of heaven and earth was the most illusory. This was one of the powers of fate. He closed his reincarnation eye and opened the Eye of Destiny. With the power of the Eye of Destiny, he passed through the destructive light in the sky and appeared in front of Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai. The Eye of Destiny trembled slightly and immediately formed a huge vortex of fate. Wang, the invisible power of fate condensed into a vortex of fate. It was extremely vast, and it sucked Xianyin and the other three into it. Puff, 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 puff. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere as the four powerful true realm warriors exploded into pieces at the first moment. The vortex of fate continued to tremble. It enveloped the broken bodies and souls of the four and crushed them over and over again. My lord, not far away, the Nine Serenities King and the Underworld King both turned pale. Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai were all Reincarnation King's divine guards. They were all in the true realm. But now, their physical bodies were crushed by Lin Tian in one move. At that moment, as they spoke, Lin Tian's gaze immediately turned toward them. Meeting Lin Tian's gaze, the two powerful ancient kings immediately trembled. They couldn't help but take a step back. Lin Tian's eyes were filled with ruthlessness and murderous intent. The Eye of Destiny trembled slightly. In an instant, he appeared in front of the Nine Serenities King and the Underworld King. This wasn't the maximum speed. It was the second ability of the Eye of Destiny, teleportation. Within a certain distance, as far as his eyes could see, he could instantly teleport to any place within that distance. Clang! He raised his hand. Boundless fate condensed into the holy sword of destiny and slashed at the two. The Nine Serenities King and the Underworld King were shocked. They wanted to retreat and dodge. But at this moment, under the strong power of fate, they couldn't even move. They couldn't retreat or dodge at all. They couldn't help but shout, "Stop!" The sacred sword of destiny slashed down, bringing with it two glaring mists of blood. The Ninth Underworld King and the Underworld King exploded at the same time. Their souls were also shattered, leaving behind only two blood-stained heads. Their eyes were still wide open, still filled with shock and fear. Lin Tian raised his hand. He grabbed the two heads and put them away. Just like the Luosha King's head and the Underworld King's head, he wanted to bring these people's heads back. He wanted to use their heads as a sacrifice to the old clan leader and the others in heaven. Boom! Billowing saintly aura surged into the sky. At this moment, Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai used their majestic soul energy to shatter the fate vortex and rushed out. After charging out of the Great Providence Vortex and looking at Lin Tian again, the four people's eyes turned cold. At the same time, they sensed that the Nine Serenities King and the Underworld King's auras had disappeared. There was still a remnant of their blood in the air. Their eyes became even colder. "You ant," one of them said coldly. Their four divine guards had appeared here, but they were injured by Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. Their subordinates, the Nine Serenities King and the Underworld King, had also been killed by Lin Tian here after the Underworld King. Staring at Lin Tian, with a boom, an even more terrifying saintly aura swept out from their bodies. It was extremely terrifying. The power of destruction surged. At this moment, the four of them supported the supernatural powers of order at the same time. At the same time, they locked onto Lin Tian. A hurricane swept up here, blowing the black hair in front of Lin Tian's forehead. Looking at the four divine guards, Lin Tian directly stepped forward. His eye of destiny trembled slightly, interweaving a sky full of fate. In the next moment, his eye of destiny closed. The 9 black moons disappeared, turning into dense reincarnation patterns. The eye of reincarnation. Patches of reincarnation cracks appeared, and a reincarnation river was also pulled open, moving majestically. In an instant, 2 different powers, two powers that surpassed the power of order pressed down on the four of them together. In the blink of an eye, they collided with the supernatural powers of order that the four of them had used, annihilating everything in an instant. In the next moment, the four reincarnation divine guards were forced to retreat at the same time. Clang! The ear-piercing sound of swords rang out. Lin Tian stared at the four of them. The reincarnation lightsaber condensed in his hand, and he swung it away. In an instant, reincarnation light filled the sky. They were all condensed from reincarnation light, enveloping the four of them at the same time. In the face of the reincarnation light, the four of them quickly dodged and met it with supernatural powers of order, blocking all of it. However, it was also at this moment that Lin Tian arrived before him once more. The void rumbled, and he once again closed in on the four of them. Lin Tian's eyes were full of viciousness, and he directly held up the reincarnation portrait. The completed reincarnation portrait was interwoven with dense reincarnation patterns, exuding a vast, sacred, and majestic aura. It was like a saint portrait of the end of the world, completely enveloping the four of them immediately. The four of them immediately changed their expressions. As the completed reincarnation portrait pressed down, they all felt the threat of death. Damn it! One of them was furious. The insect that was once unremarkable in their eyes now had a cultivation realm lower than theirs by an entire realm. However, when the four of them worked together, they were completely suppressed. At this moment, they actually felt the threat of death. This was beyond their expectations. As the reincarnation portrait continued to press down, the sense of death gradually became stronger, causing the four of them to feel a chill down their backs. Sacrifice the formation, Xian Lai shouted loudly. Chapter 23:33. As Xian Lai opened his mouth and yelled, "Sacrifice the formation," a small flag flew out of his body. The flag was filled with ancient saintly inscriptions. As soon as it appeared, it grew dozens of times taller, interweaving with endless saintly power. Because of the appearance of these banners, the great world trembled violently. The completed reincarnation diagram also shook slightly. Almost at the same time, inch-sized flags flew out of Xian Yin, Xian Yang, and Xian Bai's bodies. They were almost identical to Xian Lai's flag. They also grew dozens of times taller as soon as they appeared. Then their flags and Xian Lai's flag shook at the same time, resonating with each other and connecting together. They immediately sent the completed reincarnation diagram flying. They interweaved into a special formation, trapping Lin Tian inside. Buzz! The four flags formed a formation, sealing the sky and trapping the earth. Instantly, vast saintly might appeared and pressed down on Lin Tian. Lin Tian's black hair danced in front of his forehead. His rinnegan shook slightly and directly mobilized the boundless reincarnation light. Reincarnation cracks also appeared, facing the saintly might of the four people. The two collided in the blink of an eye, erupting with blinding light that almost covered everything. Whoosh! With a soft sound, the four flags shone, shattering the boundless reincarnation light and reincarnation cracks. The saintly might fell directly on Lin Tian, surging to the extreme. This power was very terrifying and seemed to be able to destroy everything. Lin Tian's rinnegan closed immediately. His eye of destiny opened, turning his body into nothingness. The saintly might of the four people pressed down on him directly passed through his body. His eye of destiny shook slightly. Boundless fate circled out immediately, forming a vortex of fate that swallowed the four people. The vortex of fate appeared next to the four people. It was a power that far surpassed order. It destroyed everything in its way and had a terrifying aura. Humph! Among the four, Xian Yin snorted, his eyes cold. The other three were the same. They didn't care at all about the vortex of fate that Lin Tian had mobilized. As the four flags shook, even more shocking saintly light burst out. The aura of reincarnation interwove within, shattering the vortex of fate. What do you think these flags are? This is the saint weapon that the Lord bestowed upon us. and it contains the saint power of samsara left behind by the Lord. They can fight on their own, but they can also form a killing formation that can suppress everything. Yin said coldly. It seems like the ability of the Eye of Destiny to turn one's body into nothingness and allow all attacks to pass through the nothingness to avoid harm. This ability is very good, very strong. However, there will always be a limit to the number of attacks you can take. Xianyang said. I wonder how long he can withstand our attacks. Xianbai said. Suppress. Xianlai's eyes were cold. The four of them mobilized the four banners together to form a great array. At that moment, an even more frightening power of slaughter surged out. It contained the power of reincarnation, and the resulting aura was much stronger than before. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the majestic power of slaughter pressed down on Lin Tian and landed on Lin Tian's body. Lin Tian used the Eye of Destiny to turn his body into nothingness. However, at that moment, he could not help but tremble violently. This was because the power of slaughter from the four banners was not only strong, but it also contained the power of reincarnation from the Reincarnation King. Although it was not enough to kill him in one blow, the frightening pressure had already greatly interfered with his Eye of Destiny's ability to turn his body into nothingness. It had almost reached the limit of what he could bear. Rumble! The killing power of the four banners grew stronger as time passed. Bang! With a muffled sound, Lin Tian used the Eye of Destiny to turn his body into nothingness. However, he was still blasted away by the power of the attack. His incorporeal body lost the ability to evade attacks at this moment. He closed his Eye of Destiny and opened his Eye of Reincarnation. He activated the power of reincarnation in the sky and interweaved the great reincarnation cracks in the sky towards the four of them. At the same time, with a clang, he took out the reincarnation sword. The countless divine inscriptions on the sword shone brightly and immediately interweaved with a boundless power of slaughter. The reincarnation forging divine art was also activated. His fighting strength was instantly increased by 20 times. Clang! He activated the reincarnation sword with 20 times his fighting strength and used the reincarnation to mobilize the power of reincarnation. His aura was majestic and frightening. The unparalleled killing power immediately collided with the killing power of the four Xian sex banners. Boom! 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 The netherworld macro world, which had already been torn apart, became even more dilapidated in the next moment. Cracks appeared in the void and on the surface of the ground, spreading out in all directions like a spider web. It was a terrifying scene. The space shook and was annihilated. With a bang, Lin Tian shook violently. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. At the same time, opposite him, Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai also trembled violently. Blood also flowed from their mouths. Good sword, very powerful. Xianyin's eyes were cold. He stared at the reincarnation sword in Lin Tian's hand without blinking. Dazzling light burst out from his eyes. Then he looked at Lin Tian. His eyes became even colder. You worm, after being tainted by reincarnation, you've become a completely different person. I can't believe you have such fighting strength. So what? You'll still die. Xianyang continued. His voice was even colder. As his words fell, even thicker holy light surged out from his body. His Order Divine ability was activated at that moment, and he used it to activate the flag that contained the power of reincarnation, causing the flag to instantly erupt with an even fiercer killing power that suppressed the surroundings. Xianlai said emotionlessly, "Use all your strength." As soon as he finished speaking, he also activated his Order superpowers. Like Xianyang, he activated the banner's power even more. Xianyin and Xianbai acted together as well. The four of them worked together and used their strongest divine powers of order to activate the four flags that were connected to form a killing formation, causing this place to be drowned in an extremely terrifying aura at the first moment. Suppress, Xianlai said coldly. The four banners shook, and an unparalleled killing power immediately surged toward Lin Tian. Lin Tian activated his Rinnegan and reincarnation sword with 20 times his fighting strength. All kinds of grand techniques appeared one by one and met the attack together. The two collided with each other. All kinds of strange lights intertwined, causing the void to roar and shatter constantly. The netherworld, great world, shook uncontrollably. The sky was collapsing, and the territory was sinking. It was like the end of the world. Bang! After a few breaths, Lin Tian was sent flying. His clothes were stained with blood, and many cracks appeared on his body. The banners activated by Xianyin and the other three were too powerful. They contained the power of Reincarnation King. Although it was only a little, it was still extremely terrifying. It increased the killing power of the four by a lot. It was close to being truly invincible. However, although this kind of power was terrifying, he didn't care at all. The hatred in his eyes was extremely strong. His gaze became more ruthless, and the killing intent became more intense. His black hair danced wildly, and he held the reincarnation sword and attacked crazily. Die for me, he roared angrily. The scenes of the past replayed in his mind. The old patriarch who raised him, those uncles and aunts who loved him, the playmates who grew up with him, they all exploded into blood mist one by one. They kept flashing in his mind, making him crazy like a demon. With 20 times of combat power superimposed, the reincarnation sword emitted a monstrous saint light. The reincarnation eye interweaved with the boundless reincarnation power and bombarded the four people. Xianyin and the other three coldly snorted. Their eyes were filled with coldness. With the four banners, they continued to activate them with all their strength. The power of reincarnation left behind by Reincarnation King fused together with their respective Dao power and divine abilities of order. The power was terrifying to the extreme. Lin Tian attacked head-on. Under the situation where his cultivation base was lower than the four of them by an entire realm, he used the reincarnation sword to slash wildly. The reincarnation eye and the eye of destiny alternated one after another, and he also supported the perfect world together. Boom! In the fierce confrontation, 15 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. The netherworld, great world, continued to tremble and became even more ruined. Under such an intense battle, even though the Xianyin and the other three were able to control the four flags that contained the Reincarnation King's power and activate a small amount of reincarnation power, they were still injured by Lin Tian time and time again. From time to time, they would cough out blood from their mouths. At the same time, Lin Tian was also injured constantly. The reincarnation body was already full of cracks, and blood was flowing out continuously. If there's one more person and one more reincarnation flag, we can suppress him in the blink of an eye, Xianyin said coldly. The 9 reincarnation divine guards each had one such flag. They were all bestowed by Reincarnation King. They could be used individually or together to form a killing formation. The more flags gathered together, the stronger the killing power. Beside him, Xianyang said, "Those 2 people have disappeared. Xiantian and the other 2 are protecting this lord. They can't free themselves. The 4 of us are enough to suppress this insect. Otherwise, it will be a disgrace to the name of Reincarnation King's divine guards." Xian Lai said coldly. As Reincarnation King's divine guards, they were all extraordinary. Each of them was an existence that far surpassed Huang Quan King and the others. Moreover, they were in the origin returning realm, which was a full realm higher than Lin Tian. They also controlled the reincarnation flags that contained a small amount of reincarnation power given by Reincarnation King. With the 4 of them working together, how could they not suppress Lin Tian, who was in the Dao fusion realm? That's right, Xian Bai also said. Immediately, the 4 of them attacked with all their strength. The 4 reincarnation flags became even more terrifying, and they bombarded Lin Tian mercilessly. Lin Tian's whole body was stained with blood. The black hair in front of his forehead fluttered in the wind. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness and madness. Although he was injured again and again, he did not retreat at all. The reincarnation sword slashed at the 4 of them. The reincarnation eye and the eye of destiny were constantly alternating, bombarding the four of them violently. Boom, boom, boom. In the blink of an eye, another half an hour had passed. After half an hour, Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai were all covered with cracks. Under Lin Tian's frenzied attacks, each of them had suffered more serious injuries. Lin Tian's injuries were more serious, but his eyes were crazier, as if he had truly turned into a great demon. "You ant! That's enough! Die!" Xianyin shouted. He became a little irritable, and the cold light in his eyes became denser. The four reincarnation divine guards joined forces, and each of them had a cultivation realm higher than Lin Tian. Even with the four reincarnation flags, they were still unable to kill Lin Tian. Kill. Chapter 23:34. The four reincarnation banners shone brightly and combined with each other. Xianyin and the other three used their divine powers of order to activate the banners. The power they unleashed was terrifying. In the blink of an eye, they sealed off every inch of space in all directions. Boundless killing power and unparalleled divine light, mixed with the power of reincarnation, mercilessly pressed down on Lin Tian. Lin Tian's clothes were stained with blood. His black hair danced in the wind. He held the reincarnation sword and charged forward. The boundless reincarnation light appeared immediately. In the blink of an eye, the two sides collided again. Instantly, the sky was filled with destructive light. Lin Tian attacked with the reincarnation sword and controlled the reincarnation light with his rinnegan. Sometimes, he would close his rinnegan and use his eye of destiny to mobilize the illusory power of fate. He fought fiercely with the four divine guards. His perfect world shook along with them. Boom, boom, boom. An even more intense battle broke out in this place. The vast Yellow Spring Great World shook even more violently. The Yellow Spring Imperial City was completely reduced to rubble. The firmament continued to crack, the territory continued to sink, and crimson lava surged up. In the blink of an eye, the battle lasted for a full quarter of an hour. After a quarter of an hour, the destructive divine powers of order subsided a little. Xianyin and the other three divine guards were all coughing up blood. On the other side, Lin Tian's body exploded. His blood dyed the void red. "The four of us came together. We're a whole realm higher than you. We also have the reincarnation banners bestowed by the king. Can't we suppress you?" Xianyin said coldly as he looked at Lin Tian's shattered body. Xianyang and the other two divine guards' eyes were cold. Xianyang said, "No need to say anything more. Give him the last." Suddenly, the world shook slightly, interrupting Xianyang. Within a radius of thousands of feet, strands of reincarnation light appeared. Strands of fate power intertwined. The two appeared at the same time, as if they had a consciousness. One of them surrounded Lin Tian's shattered body, while the other sealed off the surrounding space. Such a scene caused the pupils of the Xianyin and the other three to narrow. Previously, when Lin Tian was fighting fiercely with them, he could only summon the light of reincarnation or the power of destiny. However, at this time, Lin Tian's physical body had been shattered by them. Before his physical body could be reconstructed, the light of reincarnation and the power of destiny appeared at the same time. Moreover, they could sense that the reincarnation light and the power of providence were much stronger than before. It was also at this moment that a portion of the reincarnation light and a portion of the power of providence surged into Lin Tian's shattered body. As the light flickered, Lin Tian's body reformed in the blink of an eye. The black hair in front of his forehead danced in the wind. His closed eyes slowly opened in the next moment. In his left eye, 9 mysterious black moons revolved around him. In his right eye, countless Tao patterns intertwined. It was vast and intimidating. The boundless power of providence and the vast power of reincarnation surged and danced around him. Left eye of fate, right eye reincarnation. You, Xianyin, and the others were shocked. One eye of fate, one eye of reincarnation, and the other eye of reincarnation. The four of them suddenly felt a chill. At this moment, Lin Tian, who had one eye of fate, one eye of reincarnation, made them feel extremely dangerous. Reincarnation and providence circled around his body. A wind blew in the Yellow Springs great world, blowing the black hair in front of Lin Tian's forehead. He looked at Xian Yin and the others. In his right eye, the reincarnation eye trembled slightly. In an instant, the reincarnation heavenly river behind the four of them, a giant beast emerged from it, as if it was real. It was completely formed by the light of reincarnation, and it pounced on the four of them. The giant beast's aura was terrifying. Although its body was huge, its speed was extremely fast. Even the four of them who were as strong as Xian Yin could not avoid it. Suddenly, puff, 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 puff. Four mists of blood exploded. As the giant beast rushed past, Xian Yin and the others were all crushed. Gurgle, gurgle. The sound of flesh wriggling resounded. Divine radiance flickered as the four of them condensed their physical bodies in the blink of an eye. Their faces were filled with fear. The giant reincarnation beast just now made their divine souls involuntarily shiver. It was too terrifying. At this moment, Lin Tian moved. The 9 black moons in his left eye, the eye of destiny, trembled slightly. In an instant, he appeared in front of Xian Yin. Xian Yin's expression changed. He was shocked by Lin Tian's teleportation. He quickly formed a seal and activated the reincarnation flag to attack Lin Tian. However, he wanted to attack now. How could he be faster than Lin Tian? Dong! Heaven and earth shook violently. Lin Tian swung his fist. The light of reincarnation surrounded the tip of his fist and landed on Xian Yin's body in an instant. With a puff, blood splattered everywhere. Xian Yin's body was immediately torn into pieces. Damn it! Xian Yin roared. Being shattered by a punch, he naturally could not die immediately. He reformed his physical body in the blink of an eye and quickly escaped. However, Lin Tian was right in front of him. In the blink of an eye, he closed in again and directly blocked his escape route. Dong! With another loud sound, Lin Tian swung his fist for the second time. Unparalleled light of reincarnation covered the tip of his fist. The space around Xian Yin was completely frozen. In an instant, Xian Yin could not even move. He was completely suppressed by the light of reincarnation. Get lost! When Xian Yang, Xian Bai, and Xian Lai saw this, they immediately took action together. They activated the reincarnation flag, causing the 4 reincarnation flags to explode with monstrous killing light. They intertwined with the reincarnation power that the reincarnation king had left in them to prevent Lin Tian from attacking Xian Yin again. The monstrous killing light surged towards Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. Lin Tian's back was facing Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai. He turned a blind eye to the killing light. The eye of destiny turned his physical body into nothingness. The killing light passed through his body and landed on Xian Yin's body together with his reincarnation fist. Puff! Blood splattered. The powerful Xian Yin's body, except for his head, was smashed into pieces once again. Lin Tian raised his hand and grabbed Xian Yin's head. His left and right eyes moved at the same time. The reincarnation light and fate power appeared together, drowning the rest of Xian Yin's body and spiritual soul. They were crushed over and over again. Damn it! Give me! Ah! Xian Yin roared angrily. He struggled to break through the reincarnation light and fate power that filled the sky. The next moment he screamed in pain. Then, the scream disappeared in an instant. Except for the head that Lin Tian was holding, the rest of his body was gone. He had disappeared just like that. Xian Yin, how could this be? Xian Yang, Xian Lai, and Xian Bai were shocked. Xian Yin had been killed. Yu. The 3 of them looked at Lin Tian again. When their gazes fell on Lin Tian's eyes, they could not help but tremble. Lin Tian looked at the 3 of them. He put away Xian Yin's head and walked slowly toward them. The light of samsara and the power of destiny intertwined around him at the same time. His eyes trembled slightly, and as he walked toward the 3 of them, Great samsara cracks and vortexes of destiny appeared at the same time, sealing all the space around the three of them. The samsara power and the power of destiny pressed down on the three of them at the same time. Originally, he could only use one of the reincarnation eyes and fate eyes at the same time. If he wanted to use the reincarnation eyes, he had to close the fate eyes, and if he wanted to use the fate eyes, he had to close the reincarnation eyes. But now, in the fierce battle with the four of them, under the crazy desire to kill and hatred, he made a breakthrough and completed a new transformation. The reincarnation eyes and fate eyes merged. His left eye and right eye could use the reincarnation eyes at the same time. With this transformation, his Rinnegan and Eye of Destiny had become even more powerful, and his combat strength had increased tremendously. Buzz! Boundless reincarnation light and fate power pressed down from every corner, sealing Xianyang and the other two. Their auras were terrifying. Xianyang and the other two were furious. They worked together to support the four reincarnation flags and unleash their murderous aura once again. They blocked the reincarnation light and fate power that pressed down on them as they attacked Lin Tian. Their murderous aura was terrifying. Lin Tian's footsteps did not change at all. He walked forward step by step. The fate eyes turned his body into nothingness. The murderous aura that the three of them pressed down on him directly passed through his body, destroying the space behind him. At this moment, he appeared before the three of them. With a thought, all the reincarnation cracks, fate vortexes, reincarnation light, and fate power immediately became stronger. They broke through all of Xianyang and the other two's defenses and landed on them. Spurt! 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 Bloody mist immediately splattered. The three of them could not block it at all. Half of their bodies were crushed. This made the three of them roar furiously. They activated the four reincarnation flags and unleashed holy light to help them break free. Clang! The clanging of swords rang out at this moment. Lin Tian used the weapon control technique and controlled the reincarnation sword with his mind. He slashed out fiercely and created four reincarnation sword glows. They landed on the four reincarnation flags. At the same time, the vast reincarnation light and fate power underwent a qualitative change. They pressed down on the four reincarnation flags together with the four reincarnation sword glows. Immediately, for crisp cracking sounds rang out. The vast reincarnation light and fate power pressed down together with the reincarnation sword and crushed the four reincarnation flags. You, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai's expressions changed again. They trembled violently. The reincarnation flags that the reincarnation king had given them were destroyed just like that. Lin Tian's footsteps did not change at all. 9 black moons appeared in his left eye of destiny, mysterious and unfathomable. Countless Tao patterns appeared in his right eye of reincarnation. They were vast and majestic. He arrived before the three of them in the blink of an eye. He pressed down with the reincarnation cracks, fate vortexes, reincarnation light, and fate power. Spurt! 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 The blood mist exploded again. He destroyed the three of their bodies below the head and grabbed their heads. His eyes shook slightly again. The reincarnation light and fate power merged together, forming a huge abyss of reincarnation light and fate power. The reincarnation light and fate power intertwined in the abyss. A terrifying tearing force came from it and swept over everything. It was difficult for everything to escape. Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai were terrified. Their divine souls burst out with towering soul radiance as they tried to escape. However, the abyss formed by the reincarnation light and fate power was too terrifying. They could not escape at all. No! In the next moment, their divine souls and broken bodies were sucked into the abyss at the same time. There were screams, but they quickly quieted down. The three of them disappeared together. For a moment, this place became much quieter. Only the rolling lava was still rushing up from the ground. The entire Yellow Springs world was filled with cracks. It was as though it had become the most fragile ceramic that would shatter at any moment. Lin Tian stood on the broken Yellow Springs void. The 9 black moons in his left eye disappeared, and the reincarnation Tao pattern in his right eye dispersed. He carried a few blood-stained heads and stepped out of the Yellow Springs royal city that had turned into ruins. He left the Yellow Springs world. Chapter 2335. Stepping out of the Yellow Spring world and carrying the heads of King of Netherworld and others, Lin Tian was a little numb and walked towards the distance. The Saint runes of order circled around his body at the first moment. Since he stepped into the Yellow Spring world, all the killing forces that attacked him were displayed at the same time. The power of Xin Yin, Xin Yang, and others, as well as the power of Samsara left by King of Samsara in the Samsara flag, was doubled at this moment, turning into a destructive torrent that fell behind him. Absolute counterattack. Boom! With a loud roar, the Yellow Spring world was submerged by the destructive torrent in an instant and directly exploded. Lin Tian left and went further and further away from the Yellow Spring world. He stepped into the Hongmeng universe and entered the small spiritual domain of the 10 Directions Ancient Star. In the middle of the small spiritual domain, there were ruins, and the head of Rakshasa King was placed in front of the ruins. He came here, put down the heads of King of Netherworld and others, and also put them in front of the ruins and knelt down in front of the ruins. Kneeling in front of the ruins, he looked at the ruins in front of him in a daze. Whoosh! Inside the small spiritual domain, there was a wind blowing from a distance. Leaves were mixed in it, and there were also traces of sand and dust rolling inside. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. 7 days later, on this day, he stood up, left the small spiritual domain, and returned to the main celestial court of this heaven domain. It was very quiet in the main celestial court, and no one could be seen. Everyone had gone to fight and had not returned. He walked in the celestial court, gradually stopped, and looked out in all directions. The next moment, his figure disappeared silently in the celestial court. In the unknown vast world, boom! In the vast world, immortal mountains and treasures were everywhere, and the air was intertwined with a frightening aura of destruction and blood. Wu Yi, Ruoxian, Bai Qiu, and Ji were walking together. They had left the celestial court and had been fighting for a long time. Wherever they went, the heavenly soldiers and generals of the celestial court could not resist at all. Wherever they went, the heavenly soldiers and generals of the celestial court who encountered them were all obliterated. Because this group of people was really too strong, and all of them were above the heaven-connecting realm. They were either powerful king physique or had amazing aptitude, and all of them had at least grasped the third order. Their combat strength was far from ordinary experts of the same level, especially Ruoxian, who had inherited the powerful bloodline of Lin Tian and Wu Yi. Once the law of time, it swept everything, even more terrifying than order. Although her cultivation was only at the 6th heaven-connecting realm, ordinary experts of early void transformation realm experts, when faced with the law of time, law released by heaven, who was heaven, Wu Yi was the most powerful and had the most heaven-defying aptitude. His cultivation had reached the peak of the soul transformation realm, and he had the order divine ability and the space divine law. He had both the void physique and the holy light physique, and there was always a lot of Lin Tian's reincarnation origin in his body. He could barely be considered half a reincarnation body. Wherever his gaze passed, there was nothing that could not be destroyed. This group of people walked together, and every place they passed by, they would quickly sweep away all the heavenly soldiers and generals there. Boom! This world was similar to the void realm. It was very vast. Not long after the group of people stepped into this world, all kinds of divine light and killing light crisscrossed. One after another, the heavenly soldiers and generals in their field of vision were killed one after another. Go! Run! An extremely frightened voice sounded. The heavenly soldiers and generals were terrified. Facing such a group of people, how could they resist? Immediately, the group of heavenly soldiers and generals quickly fled towards this place. Don't even think about escaping. Die, all of you! Ruoxian's eyes were filled with anger. These days, she had been thinking about her father. There was anger and hatred in her eyes. She directly interweaved the long river of time, and the ripples of time were mighty and terrifying. The heavenly soldiers and generals were even more frightened, and they fled even faster into the distance. However, at this moment, the heavenly soldiers and generals who were fleeing at top speed were all stunned. One after another, they turned into ashes. Lin Tian stepped into this place and followed the auras of Wu Yi and the others. He descended from the sky. The group was slightly stunned. Ruoxian immediately rushed over and hugged Lin Tian tightly. "Father, where have you been? Your daughter was so worried." "I'm fine," Lin Tian said softly as he gently stroked Ruoxian's hair. These days, he had killed the Devil King and the others, but the hatred in his heart had not dissipated. He still felt very uncomfortable. Now that he had followed the auras of Wu Yi and the others, he felt better when he saw his daughter hugging him. Lin, big brother, Wu Yi, Gu, and the others stepped forward one after another. They looked at Lin Tian and spoke one after another. Their eyes were filled with deep concern. Lin Tian looked at them. After walking the path of hatred for so long, looking at them only made him feel better. "Big brother," She looked at Lin Tian and said these two words. Her eyes were slightly evasive. She knew everything about Lin Tian. In this life, Lin Tian was reborn from reincarnation. The current him was not a match for Reincarnation King. The gap between him and Reincarnation King was too big. He wanted to take revenge. The hatred in his heart was boiling all the time. However, this boiling hatred was suppressed by him now, because if he went to look for Reincarnation King and the others now, there was only a path to death. He must succeed in his revenge. He must not die now. At the same time, for Wu Yi and the others, for his daughter, he must not die. For them, he must live. At this time, he had returned to the primordial universe and came here. He was prepared to expel the celestial court from this universe with Wu Yi and the others. The celestial court was wantonly massacring in the primordial universe. Countless living beings were suffering. Whether it was because of his hatred for the celestial court or because he wanted to protect this universe and the countless living beings in this universe, he must expel the celestial court from this universe. And together, Ruoxian was a little excited when she heard that her father was going to fight with them temporarily. She wanted to be by her father's side all the time. Expel the celestial court from our universe. She clenched her fists as she said this. Her eyes were filled with deep hatred for the celestial court. Lin Tian stroked Ruoxian's hair. He knew that Ruoxian was feeling heartache for him. She hated the celestial court for him. He looked at the great world in the distance. This great world was comparable to the celestial world of nothingness. Now, there were many celestial soldiers and celestial generals fighting inside. The countless living beings in this great world were all suffering. His eyes gradually changed. 9 black moons intertwined in his left eye, while countless Tao runes appeared in his right eye. The Tao runes in his right eye moved slightly. Instantly, the reincarnation heavenly river appeared. Giant beasts appeared one after another. Some had a horn, some had 2 wings, and some had 3 eyes. The aura they emitted was incomparably terrifying. There were about 50,000 of them. This scene shocked everyone. They could clearly feel the terror of the reincarnation heavenly river. They could also feel the terror of the giant beasts that stepped out of the reincarnation heavenly river. It was as if they could crush everything with a slight movement. Then, the group of people's gazes landed on Lin Tian. When they saw Lin Tian's eyes, they couldn't help but be shocked. Even Wu Yi was no exception. Now, Lin Tian's eyes were not symmetrical. They were completely different. At the same time, because Lin Tian didn't hide anything from them, they could also feel Lin Tian's cultivation at this moment. The shock in their eyes couldn't help but become more intense. "Father, you've already reached the samsara realm?" Ruoxian's eyes were filled with shock. Then, her gaze unblinkingly landed on Lin Tian's right eye. "Also, Father, your right eye, this could it be?" She, her mother, a few ladies, and 2 aunts had all seen her father's left eye before. They knew that it was the eye of destiny. However, This was the first time she saw her father's right eye. However, although this was the first time she saw it, she could vaguely guess something. She couldn't help but reveal an even more shocked expression. Chapter 2336. Lin Tian naturally knew that Ruoxian had already guessed it, so he didn't try to hide it. He nodded and said, "Rinnegan, it really is that pair of divine eyes." Ruoxian was shocked. Jiyu, Bai Qiu, and the others were naturally shocked as well. Even Wu Yi was no exception. There was a faint light in his eyes. The three legendary divine eyes were the Rinnegan, the Eye of Destiny, and the Eye of Space-Time. Lin Tian had mastered the Eye of Destiny, and now he had even mastered the Rinnegan. It should be known that among the three divine eyes, the Rinnegan had the title of strongest. At this time, they looked at Lin Tian and were shocked by Lin Tian's cultivation, Lin Tian's Rinnegan, and looked at Lin Tian's two different and asymmetrical eyes. They gave Lin Tian an inexplicable sense of mystery and majesty. Ruoxian's eyes were very bright. One eye of destiny, the other eye of reincarnation. "Daddy, you look so handsome right now." Lin Tian stroked Ruoxian's hair. His Rinnegan shook slightly, and he ordered the tens of thousands of great reincarnation beasts that he had summoned, "Go." As soon as he finished speaking, the tens of thousands of great reincarnation beasts roared in unison and rushed in different directions. They rushed to every corner of this world, and in the blink of an eye, they had crossed a great distance. These great reincarnation beasts were summoned by his Rinnegan. It was an ability of his Rinnegan. With this ability, the battle prowess of the great reincarnation beasts he summoned would decrease as the number of great reincarnation beasts he summoned increased. The more great reincarnation beasts he summoned, the weaker the battle prowess of each great reincarnation beast he summoned. The fewer great reincarnation beasts he summoned, the stronger the battle prowess of each great reincarnation beast he summoned. At the same time, on the other hand, his own cultivation base would directly affect the battle prowess of the giant beasts he summoned. With his current reincarnation transformation realm cultivation base, every single one of the tens of thousands of reincarnation beasts that he summoned had the strength of a peak reincarnation soul realm expert. In the current Hong Ming universe, no one in the celestial court was a match for such a battle prowess. It was more than enough to wipe out all the celestial court's celestial soldiers and celestial generals in this world. Whoosh! 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 Tens of thousands of great beasts of samsara quickly rushed to various regions of this world and began to launch devastating attacks on the celestial court's celestial generals and celestial soldiers. Summoned by Lin Tian with his Eye of Reincarnation, each of these giant beasts was comparable to a peak soul refining realm expert. Under the attacks of these reincarnation giant beasts, not a single celestial soldier or celestial general in this world could block a single attack. Blood-curdling screams continued to reverberate in this world. However, the targets of the screams had changed. This was because the previous screams had come from the Hong Ming universe's living beings in this world. Now, the screams were coming from the celestial court's celestial soldiers and celestial generals. The celestial soldiers and celestial generals were terrified. This is the cultivators of the Hong Ming universe in this world were originally defending against the celestial court's celestial soldiers and celestial generals. When they saw the reincarnation giant beasts of samsara, they were all shocked. They thought that the celestial court's new battle prowess had increased. However, they did not expect the reincarnation giant beasts of samsara to attack the celestial court's celestial soldiers and celestial generals from the Hong Ming universe. Ah! Blood-curdling screams reverberated as the celestial soldiers and celestial generals were killed one after another. Those who were still alive, facing the reincarnation giant beasts of samsara, were terrified and began to flee. However, the reincarnation giant beasts of samsara were too powerful. The strongest celestial general in this world was only at the Great Void Realm. How could he escape? No. Under the attack of the reincarnation giant beasts of samsara, the celestial soldiers and celestial generals continued to scream in terror. The cultivators of the Hong Ming universe who saw this scene were first stunned. Then, When they were sure that the reincarnation giant beasts of samsara would not attack them, and that they were only attacking the celestial courts, celestial soldiers, and celestial generals, they became agitated. Kill! Kill them all! Kill! The cultivators of the Hongming universe clenched their fists. Their eyes were filled with hatred as they shouted at the reincarnation giant beasts. This day was undoubtedly a destructive day for the celestial soldiers and celestial generals in this world. Only a quarter of an hour had passed, but all the celestial soldiers and celestial generals in this world had been wiped out. Lin Tian naturally sensed this. He was the one who had summoned the reincarnation giant beasts of samsara. Their vision was equivalent to his vision. Through them, he could judge the situation of the battle from afar and know everything that they saw. "Let's go," he said to Wu Yi and Ruoxian. The tens of thousands of reincarnation giant beasts of samsara that he had summoned earlier disappeared with a thought. Ruoxian held Lin Tian's hand and nodded vigorously. They had been staying in this place for a quarter of an hour. They had learned everything about the reincarnation giant beasts from Lin Tian, including what they had done. "Daddy, you seem like a real god now." She looked at her father with reverence. In the eyes of the people, gods were omnipotent. However, there had never been a god in this world. There were only powerful people, powerful demons, and all kinds of powerful creatures. But now, she felt that her father was a god. Lin Tian didn't say anything. He gently rubbed Ruoxian's head and led Ruoxian, Wu Yi, and the others away quickly. Not long after, he appeared in another world with them. Once again, he summoned tens of thousands of reincarnation giant beasts with his Rinnegan. He ordered these giant beasts of samsara to attack the world they had entered and kill the celestial soldiers and celestial generals. For the celestial soldiers and celestial generals, this was undoubtedly a disaster. They were killed one after another. Soon, all the celestial soldiers and celestial generals in this world were wiped out. He took Ruoxian and Wu Yi to the next macro world and gradually summoned more giant beasts of samsara. Time passed little by little. He used his Rinnegan to summon tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of giant beasts of samsara to attack the celestial court. Wherever he went, all the celestial soldiers and celestial generals were wiped out in a moment. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Samsara, the legendary reincarnation body, the master of the celestial court of this universe. He controls samsara. This, as he killed one celestial soldier and celestial general after another. Some soul reincarnation realm experts of the celestial court saw him and recognized his Rinnegan. Then, the news gradually spread and spread to every corner of the primordial universe, causing the celestial soldiers and celestial generals to be horrified. Samsara was the most powerful force in this universe. Once it was mastered, it would be invincible. Some of the more powerful existences in the celestial court knew that the true master of the celestial court controlled samsara. He was so powerful that he could suppress everything. For a moment, the celestial soldiers and celestial generals in this universe couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines. At the same time, the primogenitor of the immortal spirit race, Shen Qi, Mu Xingshu Old Hoodlum, Primitive Emperor by Ziki, Wuxing Crocodile, Little Taichu, White Tiger, Ling Yun, Yi Tong, Little Fox, and the others naturally heard the news and couldn't help but be shocked. The reincarnation physique, that young man has really mastered samsara? That guy, he has mastered samsara? Master! Everyone was fighting in different locations. However, when they heard the news, they were all shocked. Little junior brother, Fengshen Tianzuan, Ao Jian Tianzuan, and the others naturally knew about this. They were all excited, and their eyes were filled with pity. As the senior brothers, they knew best that their little junior brother had reincarnated until now in order to take control of samsara and take revenge. Now that their little junior brother had achieved his goal of controlling samsara, as his senior brothers, they were happy for their little junior brother, but they also felt sorry for him. This was because they knew very well that their little junior brother had suffered too much to reach this point. At the same time, The celestial soldiers and celestial generals of the celestial court, who were fighting in various parts of the universe, also knew about this. His Majesty, the celestial emperor. After hearing this news, the celestial soldiers and celestial generals were all excited. His Majesty, the celestial emperor, is fighting with us. Brothers, kill. Kill these bastards. A powerful celestial general roared. Kill! 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 The celestial soldiers and celestial generals responded in unison. Their battle auras surged as they crazily attacked the celestial soldiers and celestial generals of the celestial court. Their battle auras spurred the other large clans and forces in the primordial universe, causing their battle auras to surge as well. Follow the generals of the celestial court. Kill. Kill these invaders. Kill. The celestial generals of the primordial universe roared as their battle auras soared into the sky. The war in this universe had been going on for a year. The primordial universe had suffered heavy losses, and countless living beings had suffered. However, because of Lin Tian's actions and the news of Lin Tian's control of samsara had spread, the primordial universe's battle auras surged. The celestial soldiers and celestial generals of the celestial court were fearful of Lin Tian's samsara, causing their battle auras to plummet. Although their strength was far superior to the celestial generals of the primordial universe, they gradually began to show signs of losing in the battle. After that, as Lin Tian continued to attack and pass through many great worlds, the celestial soldiers and celestial generals of the celestial court gradually witnessed Lin Tian's samsara eyes and Lin Tian's samsara divine ability. More celestial generals of the primordial universe witnessed it with their own eyes. Immediately, the battle auras of the celestial generals of the primordial universe became even stronger. The celestial soldiers and celestial generals of the celestial court gradually witnessed the terrifying power of Lin Tian's samsara beasts. Each of them became even more terrified. The battle auras of the celestial generals of the celestial court declined at an even faster rate. Finally, the Yellow Spring clan and the other ancient clans' battle camps were destroyed. The Dao Fusion Realm generals who led the battle were annihilated. Lin Tian, who controlled samsara, made his move, and the celestial generals of the primordial universe's battle auras skyrocketed. The celestial generals of the primordial universe began to flee. Their hearts were filled with horror and fear as they quickly fled this universe. Chapter 23:37. As Lin Tian made his move and the news of Lin Tian controlling samsara spread, the battle chi of the Hongming universe skyrocketed. The heavenly soldiers of the celestial court who had invaded the Hongming universe began to flee in fear. Naturally, the battle chi of the Hongming universe skyrocketed as they chased after the heavenly soldiers of the celestial court. This caused the heavenly soldiers of the celestial court to shed their helmets and armor. Just like that, time flashed by, and another 3 months passed. In these 3 months, large-scale, transverse universe teleportation arrays were activated one after another. The heavenly court's heavenly soldiers who invaded the Grand Mist universe were all terrified and fled from the Grand Mist universe. We won! The experts of the Hongming universe shouted excitedly. It's all thanks to the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Court is the undisputed #1 in the Hongming universe. The Celestial Emperor's victory, the Celestial Court's victory, and the Hongming universe's victory. Voices rang out from the experts of the Hongming universe one after another. In the past year, the strength of the Celestial Court was obvious to all the cultivators of the Hongming universe. Originally, many of them thought that they would be defeated in the end. However, the Hongming universe had won a great victory and forced the powerful Celestial Court to flee in panic. The cultivators of the Hongming universe knew that this was all because of Lin Tian, who had controlled samsara. If Lin Tian hadn't taken action, the Hongming universe wouldn't have won. In an unknown great world, Lin Tian, Wu Yi, Ruoxian, and the others naturally knew that the Celestial Court had been defeated and fled. Father, we won! Ruoxian hugged Lin Tian's arm with excitement and joy. The biggest reason for their victory was because her father had taken action. It was because of her father's reincarnation deterrence. Lin Tian gently rubbed Ruoxian's head. The 9 black moons in his left eye dissipated, and the samsara runes in his right eye disappeared. His eyes returned to normal. "Let's go back to the great world," he said to Ruoxian and Wu Yi. Wu Yi nodded. Ji Yu, Shui Yi, and the other girls nodded and followed Lin Tian out of the great world with Lin Tianyi. In the great world, a group of cultivators of the Hongming universe, not far away. They had witnessed Lin Tian's actions to protect this world. When they saw Lin Tian leaving with Wu Yi and the others, they saluted Lin's back. "Farewell, Celestial Emperor." The reputation of the Immortal Court had spread throughout the entire primordial universe a long time ago. As the Lord of the Immortal Court, Lin Tian's name naturally spread throughout the primordial universe as well. Almost everyone in the primordial universe's cultivation world knew about Lin Tian. At this moment, all the cultivators present were filled with respect. If it weren't for Lin Tian, this great world would have been destroyed. If it weren't for Lin Tian, Hongming universe might have collapsed. The group of cultivators was grateful to Lin Tian from the bottom of their hearts. They revered Lin Tian because Lin Tian had brought them victory. Lin Tian left with Wu Yi and the others. He nodded at them with his back to them and left the great world in the blink of an eye. Soon, he brought Wu Yi and the others back to the Celestial Court in the great ancient star. "Lord Celestial Emperor." Many immortal soldiers and generals of the Celestial Court had already returned. They stood outside the Celestial Court, waiting for Lin Tian's return. They knew that Lin Tianyi would return after the battle. They were waiting outside the main Celestial Court to welcome the return of their leader. Everyone got down on one knee and saluted Lin Tian outside the Celestial Court. "Rise." Lin Tiandao told them to do their own things. He led Wu Yi and Ruoxian into the Celestial Court. Time passed slowly. Not long after he returned to the Celestial Court, Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, Yitong, Wuxing Crocodile, White Tiger, and Little Taichu returned to the Celestial Court one by one. The Immortal Spirit Progenitor, Immortal Spirit Overlord, Shun Qi, and the others also arrived. Not long after, even the old hoodlum and martial progenitor found out about the main Celestial Court and entered the Celestial Court together. Lin Tian's. Little Taichu landed in front of Lin Tian and grabbed Lin Tian's clothes. Its big eyes were full of concern. To the little fellow, Lin Tian was the person closest to it, even more so than its parents. After learning about Lin Tian's past, it had been fighting outside for more than a year, and its heart had always been very uncomfortable. Lin Tian hugged it. He knew how much the little guy cared about him. Amazing! Amazing! The Immortal Spirit Progenitor looked at Lin Tian. His eyes were full of emotions. "Although you're only in the transformation realm, it's easy for you to suppress me, as expected of the disciple of the human king." Lin Tian was now in the transformation realm, while he was in the origin returning realm. His cultivation was much higher than Lin Tian's. However, he could feel how terrifying Lin Tian's aura was, especially that faintly discernible reincarnation chi. It made his soul tremble. He was sure that the current Lin Tian's true battle strength was far from what he could compare to. "The few of us old bones have been left far behind," said the old man. The old hoodlum sighed. Beside him, the Yuan Emperor nodded silently. The current Lin Tian was too strong. He was far from what they could compare to. Think about it. 2 or 3 years ago, what level was Lin Tian's cultivation? At that time, the gap between them was too big. But now, in just a few days, Lin Tian had surpassed them, far surpassed them. Lin Tian greeted the Immortal Spirit Progenitor and the others. These people were his seniors, and they were all here for him. It was also at this time that Fengshen Tianzuan Primal Chaos, Solar Celestial, Celestial Zonglong, and the others returned. Eldest senior brother, second senior brother, third senior brother, ninth senior brother. Lin Tian immediately went up to them. Fengshen Tianzuan, Primal Chaos, and the others were not only his senior brothers, but also his elder brothers. In the past few years, his senior brothers had doted on him. When he wanted to learn the techniques they created, they taught him seriously and taught him everything without holding back. In those years, They had fought for him time and time again. Their reincarnations, although Taishang and the King of Chaos were deliberately against them, it was still because of him. Good. Fengshen Tianzun looked at Lin Tian and patted Lin Tian's shoulder. His eyes were incomparably gentle. You have surpassed us, little junior brother. Very good. I am proud of you. Primal Chaos, A.O. Jian Tianzun, and the others stepped forward. Now that they were all at the peak of the Great Void stage, they could feel that Lin Tian's current cultivation was at the transformation realm. Moreover, he had controlled fate and reincarnation at the same time. He was much stronger than them, and they were sincerely happy for Lin Tian. Good, good, good. As expected of our little junior brother. Very good. Primal Chaos said. Thank you, senior brother. Lin Tiandao appeared to be extremely humble in front of these 9 people. On this day, many people came to the main immortal court of the 10 Directions heavenly domain. All the seniors, relatives, and old friends who knew Lin Tian had gathered in the main immortal court. They had come for the victory of the Hong Ming universe, and more importantly, for Lin Tian. Everyone was shocked by Lin Tian's current strength. His cultivation had reached the transformation realm, and he had controlled both the Eye of Destiny and the Eye of Reincarnation at the same time. This kind of strength was too shocking. The heavenly soldiers of the Celestial Court had been expelled from the Hong Ming universe. This was a day of victory, and it was a day worth celebrating. Apart from the Celestial Court, the other major forces held banquets to celebrate. However, the Immortal Court did not. Everyone who came to the Immortal Court knew about Lin Tian's current situation. How could they be in the mood to celebrate? On this day, the Primal Chaos, Old Hooligan, Martial Ancestor, Xinyu, Ling Yun, Yang Qi, Bai Ziki, Wuxing Crocodile, and the others had a lot to talk with Lin Tian. It was late at night, and the group gradually dispersed. Only Fengshen Tianzun and the others remained. Lin Tian followed them into the depths of the Immortal Court. The 10 of them had not walked together for a long time. Those people, who did you get rid of? Who is left? Fengshen Tianzun asked Lin Tian. Primal Chaos, Heavenly Sovereign, Solar Celestial Sovereign, and the others also looked at Lin Tian. Lin Tian did not mention that he had killed Luosha King and the others. However, as the senior brothers, the 9 of them naturally knew their junior brother. Lin Tian was already at the Samsara realm and had mastered the Samsara realm. His battle prowess had long surpassed many of those people. The 9 of them knew that Lin Tian must have found some of them before. Luosha King, Yellow Spring King, 9 Serenities King, Netherheart King, Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai were all killed. Lin Tian would not hide anything from his 9 senior brothers. As he spoke, he clenched his fists, and his eyes flashed with hatred. Only Luanhui King, Xiantian, Xiandi, and Xianye are left. They are all living together. Hearing Lin Tian's words, Fengshen Tianzun, Primal Chaos, Heavenly Sovereign, Solar Celestial Sovereign, and the others knew that Lin Tian should have killed a few of those people. However, when they heard Lin Tian's words, they could not help but be shocked. Before this, they thought that Lin Tianji had killed Luosha King, Yellow Spring King, 9 Serenities King, and Netherheart King, the 4 Samsara realm existences. They did not expect that even Xianyin, Xianyang, Xianlai, and Xianbai, the 4 true realm divine guards of Luanhui King, were killed. However, the 9 of them quickly came back to their senses. Good kill, Ao Jian Tianzun said in a low voice. Luanhui King's group of people had destroyed everything that their junior brother once had. Naturally, they were incomparably furious. At this time, when they heard that Lin Tiandao had killed Luosha King, Yellow Spring King, and the others, they felt that their anger had been vented a lot. Fengshen Tianzun patted Lin Tian's shoulder, paused for a moment, and said, Luanhui King's group of 4 has always been together. Luanhui King's cultivation is very terrifying. Junior brother, you are still not his opponent for the time being. Don't be impulsive later. Raise your cultivation first before going to look for Luanhui King. Luanhui King was Lin Tian's biggest enemy. At that time, because Luanhui King led Luosha King and the others to look for something in this universe, they destroyed a small tribe and killed the old patriarch and the others. They knew that Lin Tian hated Lin Hui King the most. They were more or less worried that Lin Tian would not be able to suppress the hatred in his heart and rush towards Lin Hui King at this stage. I know, senior brother, I won't be as impulsive as before. Lin Tian clenched both of his hands tightly. There was endless hatred in his heart, but he forcefully restrained himself now. Because he was also very clear that with his current cultivation, he was simply not Lin Hui King's opponent. He was completely throwing away his life. Before reaching the mysterious heaven realm, I won't look for him. Fengshen Tianzuan nodded his head and patted Lin Tian's shoulder again. Senior brother, you can be at ease now. He continued, now, you have already surpassed us by far. Senior brothers can't help you much. However, you must remember, although the old patriarch and the others have passed away, you are not alone. No matter when master and mistress are still here, senior brothers are still here. We will always be by your side. And now, other than us, you also have sister-in-law and the others. You have little Ruoxian. You have 2 younger sisters who love and care for you. You have little Taichu and other companions. Therefore, you must live on. You must live on. Lin Tian Wei trembled and then nodded heavily. Yes, senior brother. I will always remember. Good. Fengshen Tianzuan nodded his head, and his gaze was gentle. We haven't walked together like this for many years. Let's walk around and chat in the depths of the celestial court. After tomorrow, you will go into seclusion to cultivate, and we will also cultivate. Lin Hui King, Xin Tian, Xin Di, and Xin Mie were still alive. He knew that Lin Tian must be in a hurry to improve his cultivation and strength. Then, he would find those 4 and kill them to truly take revenge. And he, Hundun Tianzuan, and the others wouldn't slack off either. Their junior brother's battle was far from over. The celestial court wasn't over yet. They also had to continue to become stronger. Only by becoming stronger could they help Lin Tian more in the future. Lin Tian nodded his head. On this day, he and his 9 senior brothers walked in the depths of the celestial court. They talked about many things. In the blink of an eye, the night passed quickly. In the early morning of this day, Fengshen Tianzuan and the others bid farewell to him temporarily and left the celestial court for other places. He personally sent Fengshen Tianzuan and the others out of the celestial court. He only returned to the celestial court when the 9 of them disappeared from his sight. Chapter 23:38. In the center of the immortal court, the immortal Emperor Pagoda, only Lin Tian, who was the immortal emperor, could step into it. Inside the immortal Emperor Pagoda, various ancient runes intertwined. The immortal court's earth veins and thousands of spiritual energy converged here. The aura was majestic. On this day, he stepped into the immortal Emperor Pagoda and sat down cross-legged in the center of the immortal Emperor Pagoda. The Reincarnation Heart Sutra was activated immediately. Faint 9-colored holy light intertwined on the surface of his body and danced slowly on the surface of his body. 1. The space within the immortal Emperor Pagoda was instantly dyed with a faint layer of 9 colors by the intertwining 9-colored holy light outside his body. More than a year ago, with the integration of the heavenly secret dojo's energy, his cultivation had reached the peak of the early stage of the reincarnation transformation realm. After that, his reincarnation eye and eye of destiny underwent a transformation at the same time. In the past year, he had reached the mid-stage of the reincarnation transformation realm. At this time, he was in the immortal Emperor Pagoda. As the Reincarnation Heart Sutra was activated, the spiritual energy in the immortal court surged towards him and drowned him in it. He used the spiritual energy to cultivate, and at the same time, he continued to comprehend reincarnation. Reincarnation was truly boundlessly vast and unfathomable. Although he had mastered reincarnation and could use the power of reincarnation, he was still far too far away from mastering a complete reincarnation. He had not even grasped a single strand of the complete reincarnation. He absorbed the rich spiritual energy in the immortal Emperor Pagoda to cultivate, and comprehend reincarnation seriously. The reincarnation light immediately overflowed from the surface of his body. The reincarnation light was pure and gentle, but it was also incomparably majestic. It seemed to encompass everything and could suppress all things in the world. As he calmed down to comprehend, the reincarnation light on the surface of his body danced and gradually became stronger. At the same time, he activated the Reincarnation Heart Sutra to cultivate. The sacred energy in his body also flowed smoothly. Some things that were difficult to understand in the past were now extremely simple and could be understood in an instant. 1. Outside his body, the nine-colored radiance became even more intense, and so did the reincarnation light. Almost at the same time, he was in seclusion in the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. In the Immortal Court, Bai Ziki, Wuxing Crocodile, Little Taichu, Yi Tong, and the others were also cultivating in various special locations in the Immortal Court. They were all trying their best to increase their strength because they knew that the war wasn't over yet. Lin Tian's enemies were Luanhui King, Xian Tian, Xian Di, and Xian Mie. Lin Tian's enemies were their enemies. They had to become stronger and stronger so that they could help Lin Tian kill Luanhui King and the others in the future. Even if it wasn't for Lin Tian, but purely for the sake of defending the primordial universe and protecting their final territory, they still had to become stronger. Because Luanhui Wang wanted to smelt all the universes. As long as Luanhui Wang and the others didn't die, they would never have peace. They had to kill Luanhui Wang and destroy the Celestial Court. Only then would the battle truly end. Only then would this world be truly peaceful. Apart from them, in the Immortal Court's martial arena, the immortal soldiers and immortal generals of the Celestial Court were residing here. The Bodhi tree was located on the martial arena. The dozens of mountains inscribed with origin returning Grey Dao runes brought back by Lin Tian, and the origin returning Grey Dao runes left behind by the immortal primogenitor were all located here. The immortal soldiers and immortal generals were cultivating on the martial arena. All the immortal soldiers and immortal generals were serious and solemn. They knew that their leader had an irreconcilable enmity with the Celestial Court. Their goal was very simple. They only wanted to become stronger. They only wanted to become stronger so that they could contribute to their leader in the future. Buzz! Boom! In the entire Immortal Court, rays of divine radiance interweaved in different locations. Even the sky was trembling slightly. Wu Yi, Ruoxian, and the others didn't slack off. Just like before, Wu Yi personally led Ruoxian and the others to cultivate. The daily order of the Immortal Court was arranged by Snow Wolf. Everything was carried out in an orderly manner. Lin Tian sat cross-legged in the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. Nine-colored radiance lingered around his body, along with the light of reincarnation. He silently cultivated himself in the Immortal Emperor Pagoda, silently comprehending the cycle of reincarnation. His essence, chi, and spirit rose little by little. In this way, time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. 5 years later, on this day, the sky above the Immortal Court trembled violently. The sky suddenly turned dark, and a huge thunder vortex intertwined. Inside it, black lightning interweaved wantonly. The entire ninth heaven turned dark for the first time, and an extremely shocking and destructive aura shrouded the entire Immortal Court. Such an aura startled Bai Ziki, 5 Elements Crocodile, Shinqi, Mu Xingshu, and the other immortal soldiers and immortal generals who were cultivating in the Immortal Court. All of them were roused from their cultivation and looked at the sky at the same time. Heavenly tribulation. This, Wuxing Crocodile and the others were shocked. They looked at the dark thunderclouds in the sky and then turned their heads to look at the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. At the same time, in a courtyard of the Immortal Court, Wu Yi, Ruoxian, and the others were naturally awakened from their cultivation. They all looked at the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. Everyone was shocked, and even Wu Yi was shocked. Heavenly tribulation. Father stepped into the origin returning realm. Ruoxian was shocked. She knew very well that the heavenly tribulation that appeared at this time was undoubtedly caused by her father. In the immortal court, except for her father, no one else could cause a heavenly tribulation after reaching the immortal ascension realm. Moreover, it was such a terrifying heavenly tribulation. This caused her eyes to be filled with shock because her father had only been in seclusion for 5 years. In just 5 years, he had actually reached the origin realm from the middle stage of the reincarnation realm. This cultivation speed was simply too frightening. This, next to her, Gu and the others were also shocked. In 5 years, Wu Yi, with his heaven-defying cultivation talent, only reached the early stage of the Tao fusion realm from the peak of the soul refining realm. However, Lin Tian reached the origin returning realm from the middle stage of the transformation realm. Even Wu Yi couldn't compare with his cultivation speed. Boom! In the sky, thunder rumbled, and black lightning jumped in the thunder vortex. The aura was terrifying. Gradually, the aura of destruction became more and more terrifying, shaking the 10 heavens. At this time, in the immortal court, a light of reincarnation flew out of the immortal Emperor Pagoda and evolved into the reincarnation heavenly river. Inside the river, a giant beast appeared. Its aura shook the heavens and the earth. Together with the reincarnation heavenly river, it rushed into the sky. In the blink of an eye, the reincarnation heavenly river crashed into the thunder vortex along with the reincarnation heavenly beast. The two collided, erupting with a monstrous roar. The dazzling light directly covered every inch of space, making people unable to open their eyes. Then, in a blink of an eye, a few breaths later, the dazzling light dissipated. The reincarnation heavenly river and the reincarnation heavenly beast disappeared, and the thunder vortex in the sky also disappeared. The 9th heaven returned to normal in the blink of an eye. Such a scene once again shocked Ruashian and the others. Bai Ziki, Wuxing Crocodile, and the others were also shocked. A origin returning realm heavenly tribulation, but now Wuxing Crocodile couldn't help but tremble. In the past, Lin Tian's first heavenly tribulation was very difficult. Almost every tribulation was a narrow escape. Gradually, with the help of the 5 heavenly thunders, the divine Tao of thunder, the divine Tao of nature, and the reincarnation forging spirit art, the divine Tao of nature, the reincarnation forging spirit art, and so on, the heavenly tribulations gradually became easier. However, now, under the pressure of the terrifying origin returning realm heavenly tribulation, Lin Tian didn't even leave the immortal Emperor Pagoda. In the blink of an eye, the entire heavenly tribulation was destroyed. This was really a bit shocking. How strong is he now? Ling Yun's heart palpitated. The white tiger looked at the immortal Emperor Pagoda and said, since that time in the illusory flame starry sea, he seems to have become a different person. It's as if he has undergone a huge rebirth. His cultivation is much stronger than before. Now, I'm afraid even Princess Wui can't compare to his cultivation speed. Iya, I have the same feeling, the little Taichu said. The group all looked at the immortal Emperor Pagoda at this time. They were all shocked by Lin Tian's current cultivation speed. In that place, right above the immortal Emperor Pagoda, a rainbow, auspicious cloud gradually condensed. It was mixed with rich and pure origin energy of heaven and earth. This was a gift after the heavenly tribulation. It immediately fell from the sky and entered the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Lin Tian stayed in the immortal Emperor Pagoda. The Reincarnation Heart Sutra operated automatically, guiding this origin energy of heaven and earth to all parts of his body. At this time, sitting cross-legged in the immortal Emperor Pagoda, he actually had the same feeling as the white tiger. Since waking up from his coma in the illusory flame starry sea, he felt that he had undergone a great change. Many things in the world had become much clearer than before. Cultivation was much easier than before. Then, more than a year ago, he recovered his memories. After the reincarnation body reached the grand completion stage, these changes were even more obvious. Since then, The world had become much clearer. His divine instinct seemed to have improved by many times. Cultivation became much easier, and he could understand many things in a flash. He thought about these changes silently for a while, but he did not know why. In the end, he stopped thinking about these things. He focused on refining the rainbow light after the heavenly tribulation and used it to temper his body. As he refined the seven-colored divine light, his aura increased little by little. After a quarter of an hour, the seven-colored auspicious clouds in the sky dispersed, and all the seven-colored divine light that fell down was completely refined by him. His aura became much stronger. He did not leave the immortal Emperor Pagoda. He consolidated his strength in the true realm in the immortal Emperor Pagoda, and then continued to cultivate. 1. Strands of nine-colored divine light curled around his body. The reincarnation light intertwined with it. It was much stronger than 5 years ago. He had reached the true realm in 5 years, and his cultivation had increased by a large realm. He had undergone a great transformation in all aspects, and his control of the path of reincarnation had undergone a qualitative change compared to 5 years ago. He was much, much stronger than 5 years ago. However, compared to the complete reincarnation, this was still too far away. It was just the tip of the iceberg. Sitting cross-legged in the immortal Emperor Pagoda, he cultivated silently and continued to understand the reincarnation. The nine-colored divine light and the reincarnation light shone together. Time continued to pass. In a blink of an eye, 20 years passed. 20 years later, in the ninth heaven, the sky shook violently. A huge lightning vortex opened up, shaking the heavens and earth. P.S. A book friend asked the dragon, "Didn't the immortal Emperor Pagoda fuse with the divine sword? Why is he in seclusion in the immortal Emperor Pagoda?" The dragon replied that the immortal Emperor Pagoda that Lin Tian fused with the divine sword was a weapon forged from the grand mist heavenly crystal. The immortal Emperor Pagoda that is now in seclusion is a building of the immortal court. The two have the same name, but they are different things. Chapter 23:39. A huge thunderbolt vortex suddenly appeared above the celestial court, covering the entire celestial court. Boom! Thunder rumbled, shaking the 10 directions. Inside the lightning vortex, black lightning bolts raged like black lightning dragons. In an instant, a destructive aura pressed down. Countless living beings in the entire 10 directions sky domain felt it at this moment. They were all frightened by this destructive aura. Every one of them trembled in fear as if the end of the world was coming. In the immortal court, Zeki and the others, who were cultivating, were awakened again. They were all shocked. Heavenly tribulation, could it be? Everyone looked at the immortal Emperor Pagoda in unison, their eyes full of horror. This Lord Immortal Emperor. In the martial arena of the immortal court, the immortal soldiers and immortal generals of the immortal court had been cultivating every day for many years. At this time, the immortal soldiers and immortal generals in the martial arena were naturally shocked by the terrifying lightning tribulation. They all looked at the immortal Emperor Pagoda. The immortal soldiers and immortal generals of the immortal court also knew that the leader of their branch, a reincarnated body, was very special and different from ordinary cultivators. After the connecting heaven realm, after breaking through a big realm, heavenly tribulations would still be attracted. At this time, seeing the lightning tribulation above the immortal court, these immortal soldiers and immortal generals naturally guessed that it was caused by the leader of their branch who was in seclusion in the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Their leader had stepped into a new height. At the same time, in a huge courtyard of the immortal court, Wu Yi, Ruoxian, and the others naturally felt the lightning tribulation and were all awakened from their cultivation by the aura of the lightning tribulation. Father, he stepped into the profound heaven realm? Ruoxian was shocked. After 20 years, a new lightning tribulation appeared in the sky of the immortal court. She knew very well that this was her father's breakthrough again. Boom! In the sky, thunder rumbled, and black lightning bolts raged in it. The aura of destruction continued to increase. On this day, the entire ninth heaven was shrouded in darkness. Countless creatures were horrified. The aura of destruction was too strong and terrifying. It was as if it could destroy everything, making countless creatures tremble in fear. Boom! Another thunderbolt exploded in the sky. The thunderclouds trembled slightly, and the destructive aura instantly became dozens of times stronger. However, in the next moment, the lightning vortex trembled slightly and gradually dispersed. At the same time, the terrifying aura of destruction and the boundless darkness that shrouded the ninth heaven also dissipated. This part of the heavenly domain became bright again. The door to the immortal Emperor Pagoda creaked open, and Lin Tian walked out. After being in seclusion for 25 years, he walked out of the immortal Emperor Pagoda. He looked up at the sky, and his eyes were much more profound than before. "Father, you've come out of seclusion? Aren't you going to continue your seclusion?" Ruoxian rushed forward and grabbed Lin Tian's hand. She couldn't help but ask, "You've reached the mysterious heaven realm?" "Yes." Lin Tian nodded and rubbed Ruoxian's head lovingly. After being in seclusion for decades, his cultivation had been very smooth. On this day, he stepped into the mysterious heaven realm and attracted the mysterious heaven Great Tribulation. After that, he temporarily withdrew, causing the mysterious heaven Great Tribulation to dissipate. The reason for this was that he could feel that the mysterious heaven Great Tribulation this time was very terrifying. Although it wasn't enough to threaten him, it wasn't something that could be easily passed by simply sitting cross-legged in the immortal Emperor Pagoda. He needed to find a suitable place to transcend the tribulation. Otherwise, it would implicate other innocent creatures. He really reached the mysterious heaven realm? This, Jiyu Baiqiu and the other women were shocked. In the past 20 years, not to mention their cultivation base, even someone as strong as Wu, he only reached the peak of the Dao fusion realm from the early stage of the Dao fusion realm. However, Lin Tian reached the mysterious heaven realm from the early stage of the origin returning realm. This was simply terrifying. One had to know that the further one went on the path of cultivation, the more difficult it was to cultivate. In comparison, cultivating in the Dao fusion realm was countless times easier than cultivating in the origin returning realm. Even so, in the past 20 years, someone as strong as Wu, he had only advanced by 2 small steps in the Dao fusion realm. However, Lin Tian had advanced by 3 small steps in the origin returning realm, which was even more difficult. Now, he had stepped into the mysterious heaven realm. This was simply too shocking. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes widened. The current Lin Tian was simply terrifying. How frightening was his cultivation speed. Beside them, by Ziki, the White Tiger, Yang Qi, Fanning Xiong, Yi Tong, the Little Fox, and Little Taichu were also shocked. "Father is so powerful." Ruoxian's eyes lit up even more. Her father was simply too heaven-defying. Lin Tian patted Ruoxian's head affectionately. After a pause, he said to Ruoxian, "Wu Yi, Whooshing Crocodile, and Little Taichu, I'll leave for a while to undergo my tribulation. Be careful." Wu Yi said softly. Lin Tian nodded and said a few words to Wu Yi and the others. Then, he stepped out of the celestial court and the 10 Directions ancient star. 25 years ago, the celestial court's heavenly troops that invaded the primordial universe were all expelled from the primordial universe. Now, the primordial universe was very peaceful. Stepping out of the 10 Directions ancient star, Lin Tian walked through the starry sky. His steps were very steady. Soon, he found an abandoned ancient star. The ancient star was very big, but it was completely barren. There were no signs of life, not even a single blade of grass. Stepping into the ancient star, Lin Tian stood on the endless barren land. He immediately released his cultivation and entered the profound heaven realm again. Suddenly, there was a loud boom, and the sky turned pitch black. A huge lightning vortex appeared in the sky. Black lightning bolts rampaged in it like a destructive dragon. The entire ancient star shook violently. A destructive aura immediately pressed down and shrouded the entire ancient star in the destructive fluctuations. Whoa! A hurricane rose and swept across the ancient star. Lin Tion's black hair danced wildly in front of his forehead. Standing on the endless barren land, Lin Tion's eyes were filled with vicissitudes. He stood quietly on the spot and waited for the tribulation to fall. In the next moment, there was a loud boom. The lightning vortex in the sky vibrated, and the first round of tribulation came crashing down. This was a gigantic pillar of lightning with a diameter of about 10 feet. As it descended, everything in its path was destroyed. In an instant, the lightning pillar drowned Lin Tian. The entire ancient star shook violently, and its territory sank by hundreds of feet in an instant. Huge cracks spread out like a spider web. The ancient star was so big that it seemed like it would collapse in the next moment. Rumbling sounds could be heard. Under the territory that had sunk thousands of feet, rolling magma surged up at the first moment. The scorching air directly enveloped the entire ancient star. It seemed to have turned into a world of scorching flames, which was very frightening. The hurricane swept up even more, and the sandstorm descended along with it. The entire world was filled with thunder and lightning, and black wind howled angrily. Lin Tian stood quietly on the spot. The first round of tribulation fell on his body, but it didn't hurt him at all. Boom! The thunder exploded again. The second round of tribulation appeared. It was a mountain of lightning and fell down immediately. After that, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh rounds of tribulation continued to fall down, bombarding Lin Tian's reincarnation body. In the blink of an eye, 15 rounds of tribulation came down. The 16th round of tribulation followed. The ancient star became even more broken. At this moment, it suddenly became extremely dull. The aura of destruction suppressed everything. The air and time seemed to have stopped flowing. It was also at this moment that Lin Tian moved. The first 15 rounds of tribulation couldn't hurt him. He just stood there, and his reincarnation body was enough to shatter them. However, when it came to the 16th round of tribulation, the aura of destruction had reached an extremely high level. It was no longer something that he could block by standing there. Now, he needed to make a move and shatter the tribulation with his saint power. Buzz! The reincarnation light intertwined from his body. Strands of it, vast to the extreme, went up to the sky. The unparalleled reincarnation light collided with the 16th round of tribulation in the blink of an eye. With a boom, the two collided and suddenly exploded into a sky full of rainbow light. In the next moment, the 16th round of tribulation immediately collapsed. However, the reincarnation light didn't disperse, and its momentum didn't decrease. It rushed to the huge lightning vortex in the sky. Lin Tian continued to silently stand at his original spot as he silently looked at the sky. In the past 25 years, his cultivation had improved. His control of the reincarnation light had also improved. He was much stronger than before. Boom! In the sky, the lightning vortex seemed to have self-consciousness. It felt the terror of the reincarnation light. The 17th round of tribulation suddenly fell. The sky full of lightning suddenly collided with the unparalleled reincarnation light in the blink of an eye. The sky full of rainbow light appeared again. The unparalleled reincarnation light was annihilated this time. The 17th round of tribulation was also annihilated. The lightning vortex buzzed. Inside, black lightning flashed, and the aura of destruction gradually became stronger. In the next moment, with a boom, an incomparably terrifying thunder suddenly exploded. The pitch-black lightning vortex shook violently. Within it, shadows appeared one after another. There were angels with broken wings, headless knights, immortals with broken arms, ferocious ghosts, ferocious beasts, and blind blood shadows. After that, a blurry lightning millstone appeared from the thunderclouds. It seemed to be able to support and destroy the world. With a loud rumble, the 18th layer of the primary lightning punishment instantly came crashing down. At this moment, the aura of destruction was extremely strong. This ancient planet began to crack little by little. It began to collapse at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was truly collapsing. Lin Tian looked at the sky. Behind him, the completed reincarnation diagram directly propped up at this moment. It carried endless reincarnation light and mightily went up to the sky. Boom! There was an intense collision. The completed reincarnation diagram collided head-on with the destructive lightning shadows and the destructive lightning millstone. Destructive light burst out. After a dozen breaths, everything quieted down. The completed reincarnation diagram disappeared. The dense lightning shadows disappeared. The lightning millstone disappeared. The heavenly tribulation quickly dispersed. At the same time, the huge ancient planet collapsed with a crack. It turned into a cloud of smoke and disappeared from the starry sky. Chapter 2340. The rainbow-colored light was a gift from heaven and earth after the heavenly tribulation. As it enveloped Lin Tian, it entered Lin Tian's body and was refined by the reincarnation Heart Sutra in Lin Tian's body to stabilize his cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 15 minutes passed. The rainbow-colored clouds dispersed along with the rainbow-colored light. Strands of divine light intertwined around Lin Tian's body. Now that he was truly in the Xiantian realm, his essence, qi, and spirit were extremely dense. He was like a burning furnace that could destroy everything with a slight move. Gradually, the holy light that was intertwining around his body slowly disappeared into his body. Standing in the starry sky, silver starlight intertwined. He looked in the direction of the 10-direction ancient star and walked toward it. Soon, a universe portal silently opened in front of him, and he stepped into it. The next moment, he left the primordial universe and stepped into a large, broken space where the light of the universe intertwined. This was the Xiantian universe. Nowadays, there was no trace of a macro world in the black-yellow universe, nor were there any stars. It was completely dark. The light of the universe's origin was everywhere, flowing toward the center of the universe in a steady stream. There, at the center of the Xiantian universe, there seemed to be an ancient demon that could devour heaven and earth, devouring the entire universe. Lin Tian stepped into this universe and walked in the broken Xiantian universe, step by step toward the center of the universe. His steps appeared to be very slow, but it was as if he was stepping on the nodes of the heavens and the earth as he moved. Every step he took was endless distance, and every step he took seemed to cross tens of millions of miles. Soon, he arrived at the center of the universe. As far as the eye could see, endless cosmic origin light and all kinds of other lights were surging toward them, forming a huge cocoon of cosmic light. It seemed to be nurturing a supreme existence. Not far from the cocoon of light, 3 figures were guarding it, each with an astonishing aura. As Lin Tian arrived and appeared in this place, the 3 figures naturally sensed his presence and immediately swept their gazes over. All of their eyes were ice cold. However, in the next moment, their eyes narrowed when they saw Lin Tian's appearance. "It's you!" These 3 people were the last 3 divine guards of Luanhui King, Xiantian, Xiandi, and Xianmie. The former was at the peak of Origin Returning Realm, while the latter 2 were at the middle stage of Origin Returning Realm. Naturally, they knew about Lin Tian, the reincarnated body. They knew that Lin Tian was the only survivor of that small tribe. They had always wanted to find them for revenge. Now that they saw Lin Tian here, their eyes were even colder. Xianmie took a step forward and walked towards Lin Tian. "You are as bold as always. You once dared to look for the king alone, and now you dare to come here alone." As he spoke, his words suddenly came to a halt. The light of reincarnation appeared around Lin Tian. In the blink of an eye, Lin Tian was right in front of him. With a puff, there was no scream. This divine guard of King Luanhui, who was at the middle stage of primordial returning realm, disintegrated and turned into dust. This scene caused Xiantian and Xiandi to tremble. They retreated endlessly in an instant. Mysterious heaven realm? You control reincarnation? 25 years ago, The celestial soldiers and celestial generals from the celestial court who invaded the primordial universe were defeated. They threw away their armor and were chased out of the primordial universe in a pathetic state. They returned to the only true world where the celestial court was truly established. The celestial soldiers and celestial generals all knew that Lin Tian controlled reincarnation, but Xian Tian, Xian Di, and Xian Di did not. This was because the three of them had always been protecting King Luanhui. Their statuses were also very high, so the remaining celestial soldiers and celestial generals from the celestial court did not have the right to contact them. They could not contact them, so they could not spread the news of the battle in the primordial universe and the fact that Lin Tian controlled reincarnation. At that moment, when they saw Lin Tian appear and Lin Tianyi kill Xian Mie in the blink of an eye, Xian Tian and Xian Di discovered that Lin Tian had stepped into mysterious heaven realm and controlled reincarnation. This caused their expressions to change drastically. Almost at the same time, an eye opened in the cocoon of light formed by the endless light of the universe. The eye was incredibly deep, and endless Tao patterns interweaved within it. It was as if the universe was crumbling inside. The eye of reincarnation. The insect in the past was tainted by reincarnation. You also control reincarnation. The eye in the cocoon of light belonged to the master of the celestial court, King Luanhui. At that moment, King Luanhui, who was absorbing the entire primordial universe, sensed Lin Tian's presence of reincarnation, and he opened his eyes. Boom! Monstrous saint energy immediately surged into the air, and destructive storms swept through the area. Bastard! Lin Tian roared. His eyes were filled with hatred, and he instantly went berserk. In his left eye, 9 black moons appeared, and in his right eye, mysterious Tao patterns appeared. The turbulent reincarnation aura and the boundless destiny aura interweaved at the same time and surrounded him. The small tribe was destroyed, the old patriarch who raised him, the uncle and aunt who loved him dearly, and the playmates who grew up with him, all of them were killed. That day, Luanhui Wang walked in front of Luo Xiao Wang and the others, stepping on the blood mist of the old patriarch and the others, like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon. He would never forget. King Luanhui was the culprit who killed the old patriarch and the others back then. Monstrous killing intent spread out from his body. His eyes were filled with hatred, and it shook the entire primordial universe. He took a step forward and arrived at the cocoon of light. He threw a punch at King Luanhui, who was inside. Boom! The broken primordial universe trembled. The fate of reincarnation interweaved, and it seemed like it was going to collapse under this punch. With a crack, the cocoon of light formed by the endless light of the universe shattered at the first moment. The violent punch didn't stop and landed on King Luanhui, who was inside the cocoon. Bang! A shocking muffled sound echoed. In this place, the universe collapsed, and King Luanhui was blown away. Kings! Such a scene made Xian Tian and Xian Di. The 2 divine guards of Samsara couldn't help but change their countenance again. The real master of their celestial court, King Luanhui, was at the end of profound heaven. He was a supreme saint spirit that was born from reincarnation. He was innately able to control reincarnation and was extremely powerful. But now, the real master of their celestial court, King Luanhui, who was at the end of profound heaven and could control reincarnation, was blown away by a punch from an ant that was once indescribably weak in their eyes. They looked at Lin Tian. At this time, Lin Tian had the eye of destiny in his left eye and the Rinnegan in his right eye. They couldn't help but tremble violently. Such a Lin Tian, who had both the eye of destiny and the Rinnegan opened at the same time, made them tremble uncontrollably. Rumbling killing intent surged. Lin Tian's eyes were filled with ruthlessness. The light of reincarnation and the light of fate revolved around him. At this moment, he completely ignored Xian Tian and Xian Di. He only had King Luanhui in his eyes. Like a mad beast, he rushed towards King Luanhui again. In just a blink of an eye, he appeared in front of King Luanhui, who was blown away and hadn't stabilized his body yet. The light of reincarnation and the power of fate interweaved around his body. Both of his hands moved at the same time and punched towards King Luanhui again and again. The current King Luanhui wasn't as huge as before. He had a normal body size and was shrouded in the dense and hazy light of reincarnation. Facing Lin Tian's violent punches, the dense light of reincarnation around his body also dispersed bit by bit. Soon, his true appearance was revealed. He had the appearance of a middle-aged man. Both sides of his cheeks were intertwined with natural reincarnation Tao patterns. Bang! 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 Lin Tian's eyes were filled with hatred. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His violent punches landed on King Luanhui's body one after another. In a blink of an eye, reincarnation and fate interweaved. He had launched a total of 80 punches. When the 81st punch was launched, purplish blood splashed out from King Luanhui's body. It instantly annihilated the surrounding cosmic space, forming a black hole. It was also at this moment, under this kind of violent punches, King Luanhui finally recovered. His eyes burst out with glaring cold light. "Get lost!" The voice was bone-chilling. Endless light of reincarnation surged and disintegrated Lin Tian's violent punches at the first moment. With a bang, Lin Tian was sent flying several hundred zhang away. His blood sprinkled on the cosmic space. Similarly, a large part of the cosmic space was annihilated. Rumble! The terrifying Saint Light exploded from 10,000 zhang away. Lin Tian stabilized his body from 10,000 zhang away and walked back step by step. Blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. His gaze landed on King Luanhui's body. One was fate, the other was reincarnation. Within his gaze, there was endless ruthlessness, endless hatred, and endless killing intent. A violent hurricane of killing intent swept out from his body. Looking at King Luanhui, looking at the culprit who once killed the old patriarch and the others, the aura on his body rose little by little. It was like a volcano erupting. It seemed like there was no end to it. The violent killing intent seemed to be able to shatter everything. Such an aura caused Xintian and Xindi, who were not far away, to tremble violently. That lowly human whom they didn't even put in their eyes back, then actually reached such a height now. He stepped into Xintian realm and had reincarnation and fate on his body. The aura he emitted at this moment made their divine soul shiver. "You have really surprised this king." King Luanhui's gaze landed on Lin Tian. His deep eyes were filled with reincarnation Tao patterns. Both sides of his cheeks were also covered with reincarnation Tao patterns. His aura was boundless to the extreme and majestic to the extreme. Just a glance was enough to make one feel intimidated. Looking at Lin Tian at this moment, his gaze was deep and cold. Lin Tian actually injured him. Just now, he was actually injured by Lin Tian. Although Lin Tian suddenly launched a violent attack, and he wasn't prepared for it. Even so, Lin Tian being able to injure him still made him surprised. Moreover, Lin Tian had actually managed to control reincarnation just like him. Even though Lin Tian's reincarnation was not as powerful and profound as his own, Lin Tian had still managed to control the same reincarnation as his own. While Lin Tian was surprised, his eyes grew even colder. He was born from the cycle of reincarnation, and during these past few years, he had done everything he could to grasp the complete cycle of reincarnation. As far as he was concerned, reincarnation was a strength that belonged only to him. Yet a mere human like Lin Tian had actually grasped the strength that belonged to him. Today, even if the mortal king makes a move, he won't be able to protect you. His voice was ice cold. Chapter 2341. The reincarnation light surged and revolved around Luanhui King. The vastness and majesty were extremely terrifying. Luanhui King's gaze fell on Lin Tian. The surging reincarnation light immediately pressed down on Lin Tian. Lin Tian's eyes were ruthless. With one reincarnation light and one destiny light, the reincarnation light and destiny light collided together. "You are not qualified to mention my master." Staring at Luanhui King, His face was filled with hatred and murderous intent. The reincarnation light and destiny light that filled the sky collided with Luin Hui King's reincarnation light in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, the universe space rumbled. The surrounding universe space was annihilated in a larger area. Black arcs of lightning intertwined with each other as they collided. Crackling sounds could be heard. After a dozen breaths, a sizzling sound could be heard. Luin Hui King's reincarnation light was too dense and terrifying. It forcefully crushed Lin Tian's reincarnation light and destiny light. It turned into a reincarnation storm and swept towards Lin Tian. Bang! With a muffled sound, Lin Tian was sent flying. Cracks appeared on his body and blood flowed out. Xian Tian and Xian Di were already far away from this place. They were far away from the battlefield. Although he has control over destiny and reincarnation, it is still not on the same level as King's reincarnation. Xian Tian said coldly, King is born from reincarnation. How can he be compared? Xian Di also spoke. Luin Hui King's eyes were deep and cold. Endless reincarnation, Tao patterns intertwined within. He was born with the reincarnation eye. In the broken universe, the universe origin light no longer gushed over here. He stopped absorbing this universe. His gaze fell on Lin Tian. The reincarnation light around his body was jumping. He was surprised. You can take a direct hit from me and not die. You are. Suddenly he stopped talking. Lin Tian, who was sent flying, had his destiny light trembled. He disappeared instantly and appeared behind Luin Hui King in the next moment. He threw a punch at Luin Hui King. Teleportation, the ability of destiny light? His eyes were ice cold. Towards this kind of instantaneous movement that surpassed the limits of speed, his reaction speed was extremely fast. He immediately threw a palm towards Lin Tian, who had moved behind him. Not a bad ability. However, do you think it will be useful against this king? His large hand appeared in front of Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. However, it passed right through Lin Tian's body. At this moment, Lin Tian's body seemed to have turned into air and shadow. This caused the powerful Luin Hui King's expression to change at once. Bang! His words were abruptly interrupted. Lin Tian's fist pressed down, carrying the light of reincarnation and destiny, firmly landing on his cheek. Purple blood splashed on the cosmic space. Luin Hui Wang was immediately sent flying. Looking at this scene from afar, Xian Tian and Xian Di's expression changed again. Just a moment ago, they were still slightly excited because Luin Hui King injured Lin Tian. They thought that Lin Tian's reincarnation was far weaker than Luin Hui King's reincarnation. They thought that Luin Hui King could kill Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. However, they didn't expect that in just a moment, their powerful Luin Hui King was sent flying again by Lin Tian. Boom! The saint energy shook in all directions, shattering and collapsing the space in the universe. Saint aura rushed out from Lin Tian's body. As he sent Luin Hui King flying with a punch, his reincarnation eye trembled slightly. Immediately, a huge reincarnation heavenly river was formed. There were dozens of reincarnation beasts manifested. Each of them had an incomparably terrifying battle strength. They roared together, and together with the reincarnation heavenly river, they bombarded Luin Hui King. Just now, he used the Eye of Destiny's ability to teleport behind Luin Hui King. When Luin Hui King could react and attack him, he used the Eye of Destiny's ability to turn part of his body into nothingness. After that, he landed a punch on Luin Hui King. At this time, taking advantage of the fact that Luin Hui King was sent flying before he could stabilize his body, he launched this violent attack without any hesitation. The might of reincarnation overflowed the sky. In a blink of an eye, dozens of reincarnation beasts and reincarnation heavenly river arrived in front of Luin Hui King and directly sealed all directions. It was also at this time that Luin Hui King stabilized his body. Purple blood flowed out from his mouth. His eyes seemed to be even colder. His eyes moved slightly. Inside, the reincarnation Tao pattern shone brightly. Instantly, a sea of blood mixed with vigorous reincarnation aura emerged from behind him. The blood waves were monstrous, as if it could corrode everything. Without a doubt, this was the ability of Reincarnation Eye. Rumble, the sea of blood rolled. It was born from reincarnation. He was born with Reincarnation Eye, but it was different from Lin Tian's Reincarnation Eye. He could summon the reincarnation sea of blood with Reincarnation Eye. The monstrous blood waves could crush everything in the world. As soon as this sea of blood was summoned, it went straight towards the reincarnation beasts and reincarnation heavenly river. When the two collided with each other, the sky was immediately filled with the reincarnation light of destruction. Very quickly, dozens of breaths passed. Chi, chi, chi. The sea of blood surged and annihilated the reincarnation beasts and reincarnation heavenly river summoned by Lin Tian. After that, it pressed towards Lin Tian mightily. Wherever it passed, the universe's space truly turned turbid and disappeared. It was unable to recover. Lin Tian didn't dodge. His eye of reincarnation and eye of destiny trembled lightly at the same time. One after another, reincarnation cracks and fate vortexes appeared at the same time. The intertwined power of reincarnation and fate vortexes went up together. At the same time, the completed reincarnation diagram appeared behind him. Boundless reincarnation Tao patterns were intertwined on the diagram and pressed down directly. The concentrated reincarnation cracks, fate vortexes, and the completed reincarnation diagram merged into one. In the blink of an eye, the three met with the reincarnation blood sea summoned by Reincarnation King. Immediately, an even more terrifying light of destruction burst out and swept out a huge storm. Lin Tian's eyes were filled with ruthlessness. He took a step forward. After using the reincarnation cracks, fate vortexes, and the completed reincarnation diagram to weaken the power of the reincarnation blood sea, he used the eye of destiny to turn his body into nothingness. He rushed through the reincarnation blood sea forcefully. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Reincarnation King and punched him with his reincarnation fist. Reincarnation King's eyes were cold. He didn't make any unnecessary movements. He raised his right hand and punched at Lin Tian. Two punches were punched at each other. In the blink of an eye, they were about to collide. It was also at this time that the 9 black moons in Lin Tian's left eye vibrated slightly. He used the teleportation ability of the Eye of Destiny. His entire person suddenly disappeared in front of Reincarnation King's eyes. He disappeared from the opponent's punch and appeared behind the opponent. Reincarnation King's countenance changed immediately. He couldn't withdraw his punch for a moment. He mobilized the reincarnation light to face Lin Tian, who was behind him. However, this speed was still too late. Lin Tian's punch pressed down. Before the reincarnation light, mobilized by Reincarnation King, could reach him, it landed on Reincarnation King's head. Bang! A muffled sound resounded. Once again, Reincarnation King was sent flying horizontally. He smashed a large part of the cosmic space. Purple blood dripped on the cosmic space little by little. It was a ghastly sight. Such a scene made Xian Tian and Xian Di, who were extremely far away, tremble violently again. The humans, who had once been as weak as insects in their eyes, were now able to injure their king again and again. Boom! Saint Aura raged. Lin Tian's gaze fell on Reincarnation King's body. He sent the opponent flying with a punch and rushed forward. In just a blink of an eye, he rushed to the front of Reincarnation King, who was flying horizontally. He waved his reincarnation fist and pressed forward once again. It was also at this time that the glaring reincarnation light appeared beside Reincarnation King. It shook out a reincarnation storm and swept across. The majestic reincarnation, Qi, directly fell on his body. Bang! A muffled sound resounded. He was sent flying by the turbulent reincarnation Qi. A mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. Cracks appeared on his great success reincarnation body. He only stabilized his body after flying several thousand feet away. The reincarnation Heart Sutra operated automatically. 9-colored saint light intertwined on the surface of his body. His injuries were instantly healed. Not bad, a very exciting attack. It is worthy of this king's praise. After Reincarnation King sent Lin Tian flying with the reincarnation light, he also stabilized his body. With the reincarnation light on his body, his injuries were instantly healed. He looked at Lin Tian with even colder eyes. Just now, Lin Tian had continuously used the Eye of Destiny's ability to assist his attacks. It could be said that it was very amazing. His current cultivation was clearly lower than his control over the reincarnation light was not as good as his, and his battle prowess was not as good as his, but he was able to continuously injure him. He looked at Lin Tian. Outside his body, the reincarnation light surged as if it had its own consciousness. Gradually, killing intent intertwined. This caused Xian Tian and Xian Di, who were extremely far away, to tremble violently. They were Reincarnation King's divine guards. After countless years, they often followed Reincarnation King. This was the first time they saw their king emitting killing intent. Back then, even when facing the human king, their king did not emit killing intent. This made them realize that after being injured by Lin Tian continuously at this moment, their king was undoubtedly enraged. Lin Tian naturally felt the killing intent emitted by Reincarnation King. It was extremely frightening, but he didn't care about it at all. Without the slightest bit of fear, with a boom, the reincarnation aura and the fate aura surged as they rushed forward. Boom! Clang! His left hand performed the reincarnation fist technique, while his right hand performed the reincarnation sword technique. The frightening fist aura and the swift and fierce sword aura fell together. At the same time, the completed reincarnation diagram was once again activated by him. Together with him, it suppressed Reincarnation King. Reincarnation King's eyes were cold. Outside his body, the surging reincarnation light seemed to have its own consciousness as it blasted towards Lin Tian. This kind of reincarnation light was extremely vast and surging. It was much stronger than the reincarnation light that Lin Tian activated. Lin Tian could feel how terrifying the reincarnation light that Reincarnation King activated was. His reincarnation light and Reincarnation King's reincarnation light. The reincarnation light that was mixed in between the two had a qualitative difference. The reincarnation light that Reincarnation King activated was much stronger. Even so, his footsteps did not slow down at all. In the blink of an eye, his reincarnation fist radiance, reincarnation sword radiance, and completed reincarnation diagram collided with the vigorous reincarnation light that Reincarnation King blasted over. Chi! Crack! A shattering sound was heard. In just an instant, his reincarnation fist radiance, reincarnation sword radiance, and completed reincarnation diagram were all crushed by the reincarnation light that Reincarnation King activated. In the next moment, the reincarnation Tao pattern in Reincarnation King's eyes shone brightly. It forcefully opened a huge reincarnation crack behind him. Whoa! That you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.